Chapter 171. Say what? Yi Shou had no intention of avoiding it. Just say it. Yi Yan also knew that Yi Shou would not give way, so he used peaceful means before resorting to force. Besides, he did not dare to casually target Tang Guo at this time. If Yi Shou found out, it would be very disadvantageous for him. Unless it was a last resort, he did not want to use underhanded means for the time being. If he wanted to use it, he would plan it well so that Yi Shou would not find out. I want to use a supreme-grade alchemy furnace to exchange for the alchemy furnace you obtained at the alchemy conference. Yi Yan took out the supreme-grade alchemy furnace. In his opinion, Tang Guo would definitely agree. Huaner likes that alchemy furnace very much, but she is too embarrassed to ask. I wonder if Second Miss Tang is willing. If you have any other requests, Second Miss Tang can raise them as long as it is within my ability. The conditions could be said to be very generous. However, Yi Yan stared at Tang Guo with a look that said, "You'd better not have any other requests." It was very sinister. Tang Guo and Yi Shou looked at each other, and the same look flashed in their eyes. When they looked at Yi Yan again, they both looked at him as if he was an idiot. Strange. Tang Guo smiled. Yi Shou continued in a strange tone, "That's weird." The onlookers, what's wrong? Tang Guo took out the alchemy furnace, which had returned to its previous appearance. There was a hint of a smile in Yi Yan's eyes. He knew that the other party would not refuse. Just as he thought this, he saw the alchemy furnace shake and instantly change its appearance. He secretly felt that something was wrong. Tang Guo spoke. "Seventh Prince, do you take me for a fool? No matter how much you like eldest sister, you can't use your supreme-grade alchemy furnace and promise some conditions to exchange for my divine alchemy furnace just because you are the seventh prince, right?" As soon as he said this, the crowd was in an uproar. What? The seventh prince wanted to use a supreme-grade alchemy furnace to exchange for the divine alchemy furnace in the hands of the family's eldest daughter. What a bully. Who would have thought that the seventh prince was such a person? Wasn't this daylight robbery? One side of Yi Yan's face was already swollen. When Tang Guo raised her voice just now, it attracted the attention of the surrounding people. His face instantly changed several colors. The surrounding voices and disdainful gazes made him feel a burning sensation. He had never lost so much face in his entire life. He felt that it must be revenge from Tang Guo. How could that be a divine artifact? Was it so easy to get a divine artifact? Second Miss Tang, please don't joke around. That alchemy furnace has already been evaluated by an alchemist. It's only a high-grade alchemy furnace. You won't lose out if I trade with you. Saying these words in a calm voice had already used up all of his self-control. Seventh Prince, you want to use a high-grade alchemy furnace as an excuse to get my divine artifact alchemy furnace. This plan is really too good, Tang Guo sneered. I won't exchange with you, I'm really afraid of you. Now I'm going to take this alchemy furnace to auction, if you want to go prepare your own primordial stones. You like eldest sister so much, you'll definitely buy it, right? After saying this, she shook her head regretfully. I'm afraid of the seventh prince's overbearing character. If I continue to keep it, I'm afraid that I'll die on the streets tomorrow. Yi Yan's eyes were burning with anger, but he didn't dare to say anything. Cousin, in fact, you can keep it if you want. I can protect you. No, the pressure is too great, Tang Guo denied. Cousin can't always stay by my side, I'd better sell it for peace of mind. In the future, don't say that I have a divine alchemy furnace, I'll sell it immediately. Yi Shou, actually, you can stay by my side. The onlookers, suddenly, they felt a little sorry for the family's eldest daughter. What should they do? At the top. Chapter 172. I heard that the eldest daughter of the family Tang family won first place in the alchemy convention. The prize for first place is a top-grade alchemy furnace. Your information is outdated. That alchemy furnace is a divine artifact. Your information is also outdated. The eldest daughter of the family Tang family wants to sell the divine artifact. Everyone was surprised and quickly asked why. What else could it be? This person explained what he had seen that day inside. This is what it means to be a high-ranking official. Although the eldest daughter of the family Tang family is usually very arrogant, she doesn't dare to offend the seventh prince. The seventh prince wants to exchange a top-grade alchemy furnace for a divine artifact for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. This operation is really unparalleled. The eldest daughter of the family Tang family feels that she can't afford to offend the alchemy furnace, so she might as well sell it to avoid dying on the streets in the future. Overwhelming rumors spread everywhere. No one knew where they came from. In short, it spread throughout the entire immortal Ping country. Some time ago, the eldest daughter of the family Tang family took a fancy to a 1,000-year-old spirit ginseng from a certain family. They didn't want to sell it, but the seventh prince appeared forcefully. In the end, they had no choice but to sell it at a low price for their safety. What's this? Someone questioned the eldest daughter of the family Tang family's alchemy skills. The seventh prince directly sent someone to smash the other party's signboard. Let me tell you a secret. A certain family's young lady went to the eldest daughter of the family Tang family twice because she had a crush on the seventh prince. The seventh prince directly ruined her family, and the whole family only moved out of Ping City yesterday. Fuck, the seventh prince is actually so cruel. Who spread the news? Yi Yan said gloomily, find out who is going against me. Focus on those restless brothers of mine. At this moment, in the family Tang family. It's really a divine artifact. Tang Haohui couldn't believe it at all. A divine artifact was sold just like that. Go and get the divine artifact back. You don't have the ability to protect it. The family Tang will protect it. Tang Huan also looked at Tang Gua in disbelief, as if he was looking at a fool. In his previous life, when Tang Gua found out that it was a divine weapon, she covered it up so tightly that no one knew about it. Later on, when the other party's strength was unparalleled, he openly asked how he had obtained this divine artifact. At that time, legends about the Tang Guo were everywhere. Naturally, she had also heard about it when she was in the backyard. He had never thought that in this life, Tang Guo would still obtain a divine artifact. Instead of keeping it for herself, she would sell it at an auction. Take it back. Tang Guo smiled. Then may I ask, family head Tang, what are you going to do with this divine artifact after you get it back? Of course it's for Huan, Tang Haohui didn't even think about it. Since you're going to sell it and you don't care about it anyway, why don't you give it to Huan, and use it to its full potential? Haha, that's interesting. I got it with my own ability. You want to give it to her? Tang Guin narrowed her eyes. The seventh prince wants to exchange a high-grade alchemy furnace for my divine artifact on the street. You're not too heartless after all. You know how to deceive people with things. But you, my dear father, are you trying to gain something without risking anything? Tang Guo widened her eyes. Could it be that I'm not your biological daughter? Tang Haohui's face turned green and white. He also knew that what he said just now was very biased. But that was what he thought in his heart. His second daughter's personality was really arrogant and perverse. He had never liked her. Since he liked his eldest daughter so much, so what if Tang Guo was the daughter of the first wife? He didn't like her anyway. Of course, he would leave the good things for Huan, It's impossible to get the divine artifact back. Since you dote on eldest sister so much, tomorrow is the day of the auction. The family Tang doesn't lack spirit stones. You can go and bid. Peek. Chapter 173. I heard that the seventh prince plans to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace in order to please the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. It is said that the head of the family Tang family dotes on the eldest daughter of the family Tang family very much and wants to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace for her. Do you know the Bo family? Isn't that Madame Tang, Bo Yunzi's maiden family? Yes, that's the Bo family. I heard that the eldest son of the Bo family, Bo Shifeng, also threatened to bid for the legendary alchemy furnace for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. Damn, this eldest daughter of the family Tang family is really popular. Isn't Bo Shifeng the cousin of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family? This cousin is really interesting. Instead of helping his cousin, he is helping an outsider. Could it be that he also has feelings for the eldest daughter of the family Tang family? Actually, that's not all. Countless people in Pingqing are admirers of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. It is said that there are several people from the palace who look at her differently. It's just that those people haven't said anything yet. Haven't you noticed something very strange? The eldest daughter of the family Tang family is a little pitiful. A little, but fortunately, I heard that the little prince dotes on her a lot. Even if the two of them are not engaged, their relationship is still good. If it weren't for the little prince, I wonder if the eldest daughter of the family Tang family would have been swallowed by these people. Another wave of rumors spread throughout Pingqing. If there was an internet connection here, anyone related to Tang Huan would probably be on the hot search list. Cousin, you've been wronged. Yi Shou had heard the rumors as well, and some of the rumors had been spread by him. During this period of time by Tang Gui's side, he realized that his cousin had been abandoned by her family. Everyone only saw the arrogance and despotism of the eldest daughter of the family Tang family. But who knew how much bitterness was behind this arrogance and despotism? If she was not more arrogant and powerful, she would probably be eaten up by these people. It was hard to imagine that a teenage girl bearing so much pressure on her shoulders. He took some time to investigate what had happened in the family Tang dynasty over the years. His cousin had been neglected by her family ever since she was a few years old. She was able to achieve what she had today because, firstly, she worked hard. Secondly, the Tang family still allocated the resources that should be given to her. If the family's resources were not controlled by the clan, according to Tang Haohui's personality, his cousin would not even have the resources to cultivate. It was one thing for the family to ostracize her, but the Bo family was the same. Especially Bao Shifeng and Bao Ling. One of them was his cousin's cousin, and the other was his cousin's cousin. Instead of getting close to his cousin, they went to get close to Tang Huan. It was truly puzzling. No matter how others treat you, your cousin will always stand by your side. At this moment, Yi Shou's heart ached for the young lady in front of him. She was only 16 years old, but her fate was so rough. That aunt of his wholeheartedly wished for her daughter to stand out. Once her cousin could not compare to Tang Huan, she would just sit back and watch. How was this raising a daughter? She was clearly treating her cousin as a tool. Cousin, you're such a good person. Yi Shou's smile bloomed, and he was in a good mood. Tang Gui smiled. There are many people who came to auction the divine artifact. When we get the primeval stones later, I'll treat you to a meal and give you a big red packet. No need, you can keep it. I don't lack primeval stones. If you want to treat me, I'll treat you. I'm the eldest, so I should give you a red packet. His cousin was so pitiful, how could he take her things? The system silently watched the host who kept giving Yi Shou the good person card. Seeing that this idiot cousin was still smiling, it wondered if he would curse in the future. Peek. Chapter 174. The host was not a good person. Once you let her down, no matter how good you were to her, she would remember your bad deeds. In other words, she would remember your good deeds and hate you at the same time. She was very clear about the two. No matter how good a person was to her, she would take revenge when she said she would. After she took revenge, she would continue to repay the kindness. To her, there was no pressure at all. For example, Yi Zhou. It was Yi Zhou who abandoned her first. In the future, no matter what Yi Zhou did, she would not be with him. And Yi Zhou was good to her, so she would also be good to Yi Zhou. The host had inherited all the feelings of the original body, so she naturally had feelings for Yi Zhou. To the host, having feelings did not mean that she was like an ordinary person, getting married and having children. She could love you very much, but she would not be with you. You could feel her deep love at all times, but you would not be able to be with her as you wished. For example, Lang Rui and Tang Zheng. If you said that you wanted more, she would smile and say, "I love you so much, I love you all the time, I care about you, I only have you in my heart. How can you be so greedy and want more?" The system also wanted to curse the host. How could there be such a scary woman in the world? She was a classic example of someone who could only be seen but not eaten. Tang Haohui is here. Tang Guo looked at Tang Haohui who was walking in. Tang Huan and Lu Yinyang were beside him. At the same time, Yi Yan also came. The two of them even met. The two of them exchanged greetings and actually walked into a private room. Narrowing her eyes, Tang Guo laughed. These two are going to work together. Cousin, don't worry. It won't be that easy for them to get the divine weapon. A few days ago, I got someone to spread the news that the people who came today are not lacking in primeval stones. I guarantee that cousin will be able to earn a lot. Not long after, a young man and woman walked in. The man was handsome and the woman was cute and playful. Who else could it be but Bo Shifeng and Bo Ling Her? That Tang Gua is really insensible. If she doesn't want the divine artifact, she might as well give it to Sister Huan Huan. Why did she have to put it up for auction? Why did she have to do something so unnecessary? Bao Linger's voice wasn't soft. Tang Gua heard it, but that wasn't what she minded. Instead, it was these two people who were closest to her when she first transmigrated here. Therefore, she wondered which of the two had tripped her. Cousin. If you don't like them, don't come into contact with them in the future. Tang Gua came back to her senses and smiled. I know. I'm just taking a look. Anyway, with my cousin here, the others aren't important. She was never stingy when it came to sweet words and honeyed words. When Yi Zhou heard this, it was as if he had eaten candy. How could his cousin be so cute and likable? Who said that she was arrogant and despotic? It was just that the outside world didn't understand her. Yi Zhou looked at Tang Gua's exquisite and beautiful face and was stunned by the smile on her face. He was stunned for a while. When he came back to his senses, he quickly shook his head. He couldn't understand his actions just now. People came one after another, filling up the entire auction hall. Because it was a divine artifact, there were many people who came today. There were even people who came from other places. On their way here, they heard about the story behind the divine artifact auction and sighed incessantly. Of course, they also found out that Tang Gua, who was selling the divine weapon, was actually a high-level alchemist. She was the kind of alchemist who could refine perfect spirit pills. Therefore, it was very hard for them to despise the person who wanted her to die on the streets. Too stupid. Peak. Chapter 175. The auction of the divine artifact had already begun. Other than the sound of bidding, it was abnormally quiet. The starting price was 1 elemental stone. The first person to speak directly bid 5 million elemental stones. Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. Tang Huan sat in the private room and was very nervous. She really wanted to get this divine artifact. Tang Gua definitely had not used this divine artifact before and did not know its benefits. Otherwise, she would not have sold it. Yi Yan and Tang Haohui did not plan to bid for the time being. Instead, concubine Lu, who was at the side, was stunned by the way the price was called. These people added a few million at the drop of a hat. Weren't they too rich? She was a little worried. Was it really worth it to spend so many elemental stones just to buy such a divine artifact? Huan, why don't we not want that divine artifact? It's too expensive. Concubine Lu's heart ached. Although she was cooperating with Yi Yan, she still felt heartache. Tang Huan frowned. Mother, divine artifacts are rare, and it's a pill furnace. As long as there's a chance, I must get it. After I get it, the elemental stones I threw out will come back. Over the years, her own wealth was actually not small, but she did not want to expose it so quickly. She guessed that this time, without a few 100 million, she would not be able to get this divine artifact. It was actually a bit difficult to take out a few 100 million in a short period of time, unless she sold some of the shops under her hands. Especially when she thought about how these few 100 million were given to Tang Gua, she was even more unhappy. But compared to the divine artifact, she did not care about the elemental stones. Concubine Lu did not understand. Tang Huan was smart, and many things were decided by her. Hearing her say this, Concubine Lu did not say anything. She only complained, "Second Miss is too insensible. It's fine if you don't want the divine artifact, but can't you just sell it to you? Don't tell me you'll let her suffer a loss. We're all family, why are you so estranged?" Tang Haohui also deeply agreed when he heard this. In any case, he was very dissatisfied with Tang Gua. It's not like your sheikh doesn't know that Bao Yunzi doesn't care about her at all. Master, I think it's better to let Madam take care of Second Mississippi. Look at her floating outside all day. That little prince goes to her courtyard every day. They don't have an engagement. If word of a man and woman alone gets out, I'm afraid it will ruin my family Tang's daughter's reputation. I think she's anxious. Why don't we arrange a marriage for her? Once she's married, there won't be so much trouble. Tang Haohui listened and felt that it was a good idea. If he married off Tang Gua, out of sight and out of mind, he would be able to make room for Huan. Lu Yinyang also thought so. With Tang Gua, the legitimate miss, her Huaner would always be suppressed by the legitimate Mississippi. Bao Yunzi doesn't care about these things. I'll leave this matter to you, Sheikh. Lu Yinyang was delighted. Actually, I've already thought of a candidate. Second Miss is so strong, it wouldn't be good to match her with someone too strong. I've heard that this Ho Fu has a very favored second young master. The entire Ho Fu revolves around him. He looks gentle and elegant. He's a good match for Second Mississippi, then contact the Marquis' estate. Tang Haohui didn't care who the other party was, as long as Tang Guo was married off. Tang Huan raised her eyebrows. That second young master didn't have the talent for cultivation, but he had a special hobby. He liked to abuse women and listen to their screams, but she didn't mention it. She and Tang Guo didn't get along well, so why should she help the other party? In the private room, Tang Guo was in a good mood when she heard the rising number. She had no idea what Tang Haohui and Lu Shi were planning. Peak. Chapter 176. In the end, the divine artifact was bought by Yi Yan and Tang Haohui. They spent 1 billion, which was much more than Tang Huan's budget. After getting the divine artifact, Tang Haohui said, "Huan, I'll leave the divine artifact to you. I believe that you'll be able to use it to its fullest." Tang Huan held the divine artifact excitedly and quickly replied, indicating that she would definitely treat the divine artifact well. On the other side, Tang Gua happily counted the primeval stones and gave the waiter a big red packet. The waiter became even more attentive. After that, Tang Gua took a large sum of money and took Yizhou to eat. She kept her word and gave Yizhou a big red packet. Yizhou took a look and saw that it was indeed a big red packet, a whole 100 million primeval stones. He was in disbelief. Why did his cousin give him so much? It's just primeval stones. Cousin, take it. I don't lack it now. She didn't lack it in the first place. With her alchemy skills, countless people were willing to give her primeval stones to refine pills. If he wanted her help, all he had to do was prepare a portion of spiritual medicine. Anyone would be willing to help. But until now, everyone had been rejected by her. The reason was that she was not in the mood to refine pills and was afraid of being hunted down. Then these people hated Yi Yan and Tang Huan to death, but the two of them didn't know. But not long after, Tang Gua's good mood was destroyed. You two meet first. If it's suitable, then set the marriage. I've seen him before. The second young master of the House of Marquis looks very good and is also very favored in the House of Marquis. You have a strong personality and I heard that he has a gentle personality. Tang Haohui said, during this period of time, don't let men casually enter the courtyard. It's not good for your reputation. Tang Guo frowned. The second young master of the House of Marquis. It was the person that the original body had married, Jing Song, the person who had abused the original body for her entire life. Who helped me look after it? Of course it's your concubine Lu. Who else? Do you think it's your mother who only knows how to cultivate? Tang Haohui looked at Tang Gua as if she didn't know what's good for her. All right, you can leave. I'll arrange for you to meet tomorrow. Tang Gua sat in the courtyard in silence for a long time. Even the system couldn't guess what she was thinking. After a long while, her lips curled into a dazzling smile. The system trembled all over. If it had a body, its heartbeat would have sped up as well. Host, I won't persuade you to calm down. Tell me, what are you going to do? As long as the host didn't court death, he would turn a blind eye to it. In fact, he gradually felt that being a supporting female lead wasn't something a human should do. We'll talk about it tonight. In the afternoon, Yizhou came again. He realized that there was something wrong with his cousin, who was usually smiling and talking. When it was almost dark and he was about to leave, he finally spoke. Cousin, is there something on your mind? Lu Yinyang introduced me to someone and asked me to meet her tomorrow. Hearing this, Yizhou's heart skipped a beat. You agree? No, but from the looks of it, they don't intend to ask for my opinion at all. They want to chase me out as soon as possible. Yizhou furrowed his brows, and his beautiful smile disappeared. A gloomy look flashed past his eyes, and flames burned in his heart. A chess piece was crushed into powder by him and the powder was scattered on the chessboard. Cousin, what are you going to do? Cousin, don't worry. The matter will be resolved soon. Yizhou raised his eyebrows. When he saw Tang Gua's gloomy smile, the anger in his heart dissipated. At the same time, he was deep in thought. Just now, he was really angry, very angry. He wanted to beat Lu Yinyang to death and then kill that man. Peak. Chapter 177. The night was dark. System, Invisibility Talisman. The system hurriedly found the invisibility talisman and gave it to Tang Gua. He knew that the night was dark and the wind was strong. It was the time to do bad things. At this time, there was no light in the room. He could still clearly see the host's expression. Gloomy, treacherous, austere, and cruel. He hadn't seen her like this in a long time. He knew that someone was going to be unlucky tonight. He just didn't know who the unlucky person would be. Tang Haohui. Tang Huan. Lu Yinyang. Or was it the legendary second young master of the Marquis Fu, Jing Song? Tang Gua had inquired before. Tonight, Tang Haohui wasn't in Lu Yinyang's courtyard. She stuck an invisibility talisman on herself and walked straight to Lu Yinyang's room. No one would have thought that someone would make a move against Lu Yinyang. Even Tang Huan wouldn't have thought that she would only arrange a few maids for Lu Yinyang. These maids, even if they were on night watch, how could they stop Tang Guo from approaching? Before Tang Guo could get close, they fell unconscious. Looking at Lu Yinyang lying on the bed, she unceremoniously knocked her unconscious and carried Lu Yinyang out of the family Tang. Her body was as light as a swallow as she floated towards the Marquis Fu. Didn't Lu Yinyang want to give her a man? Lu Yinyang praised her so well. She might as well give this man to her. Tang Guo's mouth held a somewhat cruel and bloodthirsty smile, as if the young girl who revealed a clean smile during the day was just a facade. Biamei went out. Yes, master. But Miss Tang should have used some method to make herself invisible. After leaving the courtyard, this subordinate couldn't track her. Yi Zhou's eyes flashed and he asked, "Do you know who the man Lu Yinyang introduced to Biamei is?" "It's the second young master of the Marquis Fu, Jing Song." Hearing this, Yi Zhou stood up. There were only flames of anger in his eyes. Who was that Jing Song? Others didn't know, but how could he not know? Imperial Brother had told him many times that this person appeared gentle, but was actually a cruel and merciless person. Every month, there were 8 if not 10 maids carried out of his courtyard. Perhaps, I know where Biamei went. Thinking of this, Yi Zhou was no longer at ease. His figure flashed and disappeared on the spot. The black shadow who was still kneeling had even more fear in his eyes. Master is becoming more and more unfathomable. I don't know what level of strength he has reached. Second young master, please spare me. Ah, spare you? Ha! Haven't you always wanted to climb onto this young master's bed? Since you're already here, just accept it. Lying on the bed was a woman covered in blood. Her 4 limbs were bound by ropes. Every time the man's whip landed on her body, he would whip her again and again, and she would cry out in pain from her throat. Shout! This young master loves you dearly. Louder. Not making any noise. Could it be that you're not satisfied with this young master's love? The seemingly gentle Jing Song still had a warm smile on his face. He threw away the long whip in his hand and took out a long whip with thorns. The woman relaxed for a moment and subconsciously turned her head. She saw Jing Song slowly walking towards her with a long whip. The whip was covered with thorns that glinted with cold light. Thinking of what was going to happen to her and the pain on her body, she fainted from fright. Jing Song frowned and threw away the whip in disappointment. Then, he kicked the woman down the stairs. He snorted coldly, "I thought you were a tough nut to crack. It's only been 2 hours and you can't take it anymore." Bang! A sound suddenly came from outside the door. Jing Song was very unhappy. "Who is it?" He opened the door and a soft body jumped into his arms. He lowered his head to look at the woman who still retained her charm and smiled. The Peak. Chapter 178. Tang Gua hid in the dark and saw that Jing Song did not doubt the origin of the woman in his arms at all. Instead, he smiled and took her in. The corners of her mouth curled up slightly. The strong malice emitted from her made the system not dare to speak. She stood in place for a long time. She had collected the invisibility talisman from a fantasy world and it was effective for a long time. A quarter of an hour later, she heard a woman scream from inside the house and the smile on her face grew wider. She narrowed her eyes and thought about what the original body had experienced every day in Hofu. When the person inside screamed, she felt a little better. This feeling was really good. When she was in a good mood, the system could feel it and could speak. Host, have you vented your anger? Let's listen for a while more. It was as if she was listening to a play, which made people feel disgusted. Screams came out, but the yard was very quiet. It was built by Master Ho for his second son. His second son had no talent for cultivation and Master Ho planned to let his son live a happy life. Another 2 hours passed, and the voices inside died down. Only then did Tang Guo leave the Marquis mansion. As soon as she left Hofu, she saw Yi Zhou. Although she had the invisibility talisman, Tang Guo was sure that Yi Zhou had seen her. She was not surprised. Yi Zhou should be very strong. It's so late and cousin is still wandering around. What if something happens? Yi Zhou came forward and held Tang Guo's hand as if he did not know anything. The next moment, the surrounding environment changed. Tang Guo looked carefully. Wasn't this her yard? Yi Zhou was only in his 20s, but his strength was unfathomable. He was indeed a cultivation maniac. Cousin, can you let go of my hand? Men and women should not touch each other. My father warned me not to let strange men in. Tang Guo said with a smile. Under the moonlight, the fiery red robe made Yi Zhou even more handsome. He had a smile on his face. Compared with his silly look during the day, he was more charming now. Tang Guo's words did not make Yi Zhou let go. Instead, he held her hand and said cautiously, "Cousin, can I hold your hand again?" Tang Guo froze for a moment, then sneered, "Cousin, don't joke around. Your cultivation isn't lower than those hidden masters. You have a great future ahead of you. Why are you holding my hand? Cousin, you understand." Yi Zhou's eyes were serious. On the way to Hofu, he figured out that he probably liked her. He liked this arrogant and strong little girl. Knowing that the Tang family wanted to marry her to the second young master of the Marquis's household, other than anger, he wanted to kill someone. At that moment, he could no longer hide his true face under his outer appearance and could not wait to be exposed. Seeing Tang Guo throw Lu Yinyang into Jing Song's room, all that was left in his heart was refreshed. He wished he was the one who did this. Those who schemed against his cousin deserved to be taught a lesson like this. Cousin, are you saying that you regret it? Yi Zhou nodded, I regret it. Then do you remember what I said to you when I decided to break off the engagement? Yi Zhou pursed his lips, his eyes filled with grievance. Cousin, how can there be no mistakes? I hold grudges. I am a man of my word. And I don't like to eat grass that grows back. I won't eat it no matter how well it grows. Guo. Yi Zhou's expression faded and he looked pitifully at Tang Guo. That look of, if you don't give me a chance, you're a bad person, did not move Tang Guo. Peak. Chapter 179. Being rejected by Tang Guo was something that Yi Zhou did not expect. Based on his previous interactions with Tang Guo, he could feel that Tang Guo was very close to him. She was frank with him, but she did not hide her feelings for him. He wanted to understand his feelings and thought that if he confessed, Tang Guo would definitely agree. However, the reality was out of his expectations. Tang Guo rejected him without hesitation and even helped him recall the stupid things he had done in the past. Cousin, I gave you several chances. The first time, I asked you if you really didn't want a ride. You said no, then I said, don't get in my car in the future. The second time, I asked you if I wanted to break off the engagement. You were very happy. Before going to the palace, that was the third time. You were still looking forward to breaking off the engagement. Cousin, it's not that I didn't give you a chance, but you didn't want it. Yi Shou thought of the previous incident and wanted to stab himself. Was there anyone who would cheat themselves like this? He paced back and forth in Tang Guo's courtyard, not going anywhere. He had been thinking about how to make his cousin change her mind. His goal was to enjoy the scenery and cultivate to break through the void. Now, he had another goal, to be with his cousin. If you wanted to ask how the system was feeling now, other than saying MMP, what else could it say? If Yi Shou knew what MMP was, he would probably start cursing too. From the first time he saw Yi Shou, his two-faced host had dug a hole for him. Host, have you ever thought about what if Yi Shou really doesn't like you? I'm so beautiful. How can he not like me? The system was so angry that its nose was crooked. Is this a reason? Host, can you be more serious? Let's see what you'll do next time you transmigrate into an ugly person. Then let me tell you what the way to make the person you like fall in love with you. The system's ears perked up. It wanted to learn. It felt that the host had a lot of useful information. The best way to make someone care about you and like you is to make them pay. The more they pay, the more they like you. For example, if you spend a lot of money to buy a treasure and pick up a toy on the road, will you like the toy on the road? If you put this little toy in the antique market and let a group of experts appraise it, there will definitely be a group of idiots who will buy it at a high price and admire it every day. System, that makes sense. So you used Yi Shou's guilt to make him treat you better. Host, you're too evil. Am I not good to him? She had given him so much of the money as soon as she earned it. Wasn't it good that she always thought of him when she had something good? I'm also sincere to him. Besides, I'm only good to him in this world. Isn't that enough? He's the only one. System, you can't afford to offend him. Host, your cousin is still outside. It seems like he doesn't intend to leave. Then I'll go make a pot of hot tea for cousin. Host. What is it? You're so shameless. You didn't agree to get back together with her, yet you still care about her. Is this how you conduct yourself? It doesn't matter if I'm shameless or not. What's important is that I'll make tea for him. He'll definitely be very happy. System, hee hee. Motherfucker, the host is becoming more and more evil. Sure enough, when Tang Guo opened the door, Yi Shou ran over like a pug. He looked at her with sparkling eyes and an exaggerated smile on his face. That look of surprise on his face made the system feel like it was a dog. Cousin, what are you still doing outside? Cousin, the scenery in the courtyard is very beautiful. I want to look at it for a while longer. Oh, then I'll make you a pot of tea. Cousin, take your time looking at it. I'm going to sleep. Putting down the teapot, Tang Guo decisively closed the door. Then the system saw Yi Shou sitting in the courtyard happily drinking tea. Peek. Chapter 180. Yi Shou sat in the courtyard for the whole night without any intention of leaving. It seemed that he still had to wait for Tang Guo to wake up. Before Tang Guo could get up, the Tang mansion was already bustling with noise and excitement. The reason was that concubine Lu had disappeared. Tang Huan was currently leading a group of servants to search the entire Tang mansion and was currently looking for Tang Guo's courtyard. Tang Huan was not polite at all. He directly pushed open the courtyard door and found Yi Shou sitting on a stone bench. Yi Shou frowned. Get out. Tang Huan pursed his lips and stared at Yi Shou, as if he was suspecting that the disappearance of concubine Lu had something to do with Yi Shou. Little prince, my concubine mother is missing. Right now, only second sister's courtyard has not been searched. I ask little prince to make things convenient. This king said, all of you get out. Don't disturb cousin. Yi Shou stopped Tang Huan, who was about to enter, and sneered. This king didn't know that a mere concubine mother could go through so much trouble. In order to find a concubine mother in the morning, she wanted to search the courtyard of the family Tang family's Miss D. Tang Huan's expression was somewhat ugly. That was her own mother. Not to mention the Miss D, even if it was the emperor, she would still search. Little prince, please make way. Call second sister out. Concubine mother is very important to me. What does that have to do with this king and cousin? Yi Shou coldly snorted, as if he was saying, I won't let you do anything. No matter how anxious Tang Huan was, he really couldn't do anything to Yi Shou. Then I'll wait here. I'll wait for second sister to wake up before searching. Little Wang, are you satisfied? Tang Huan's gaze was cold. It seemed that he hated Yi Shou. She instructed the others to search elsewhere while she waited at the entrance of the courtyard. Yi Shou's ears and eyes were sharp. He even heard Tang Huan calling for people to surround the courtyard. It was as if he was sure that his cousin had hidden her. Yi Shou laughed in his heart. He didn't know if that nuisance concubine Lu was still alive. Not many women who fell into Jing Song's hands had a good ending. Just you wait. Yi Shou poured himself a cup of tea and took a sip. It was cold. The warm tea his cousin took out last night tasted better. He moved the stone table and stone stools to the door of Tanggua's room. He was like a door god, and no one could get past him to enter. Don't disturb my cousin. Tang Huan was angry in his heart. The little prince is doing this, isn't he afraid of ruining second sister's reputation? The family is already discussing second sister's marriage. At the mention of this, Yi Shou became angry. His eyes turned cold and he said with a ferocious expression, cousin is mine. If any of you dare to talk about marriage for her, this prince will teach you how to behave. Go tell Tang Haohui not to bully this prince's cousin. Also, don't talk about marriage for her. Anyway, my cousin is going to marry me anyway. I don't care at all. Tang Huan looked at Yi Shou in disbelief. What did he say? Did he mean that he liked Tanggua? She remembered that in her previous life, Yi Shou didn't stop for Tanggua. He wholeheartedly devoted himself to cultivation. It had always been Tanggua who chased after Yi Shou's footsteps. Could it be that there were too many changes after her rebirth, causing many trajectories to be different? She had investigated. After that encounter with the demonic beast, Tanggua and Yi Shou came back together. If she had taken Tanggua with her at that time, the two of them wouldn't have met and there wouldn't have been so many variables. Thinking of this, Tang Huan regretted it. What does the little prince mean by this? Didn't you already break off the engagement? Tang Huan didn't give up. You mean you like second sister? What, can't I? This prince likes my cousin. Don't tell me you want to interfere in this matter. The Peak. Chapter 181. When the sun was high up in the sky, Tanggua opened the door. Actually, she had woken up a long time ago. Since Yi Shou was willing to help her guard the door, she naturally had to accept his kindness and sleep again. Cousin, did you sleep well last night? Tang Huan felt that Yi Shou's attentive appearance was very dazzling. Tanggua blinked her eyes and glanced at Tang Huan outside. Why is eldest sister here? And with so many people. My aunt is missing. We need to search second sister's courtyard now. Tang Huan tried her best to restrain her anger. The entire Tang Manor had been searched, but there was still no one. She really didn't expect that a living person would disappear just like that. Her first suspicion was Tanggua, but when she walked to Tanggua's courtyard, she felt that it was impossible. With Tanggua's cultivation, how could she take a living person away? The few maids she had arranged for her aunt all had cultivation. Although they couldn't compare to Tanggua, if Tang Guo wanted to take someone away, they would definitely be alarmed. This morning, she went to see her aunt and found that all the maids were unconscious. After waking them up, they said that they didn't know what had happened. Tang Guo was stunned for a moment, as if she really didn't know anything. Yi Zhou watched his cousin's vivid performance from the side, and the corners of his mouth curved up. His cousin was really cute. His cousin was the cutest in the continent. His cousin was so cute even when doing bad things. His cousin was cute no matter what she did. Oh, his cousin was so cute, why didn't she agree to be with him? As long as she was with him, he could accompany her to do bad things. With him taking care of the aftermath, it was guaranteed that they wouldn't be exposed. Even if they were exposed, they could still pull him out to take the blame. Tang Guo felt Yi Zhou's fiery gaze and ignored him. Eldest sister said that Lu Yinyang is missing. Tang Huan carefully observed Tang Guo's expression. The other party really didn't seem to know. Her heart sank. Could it be one of her enemies? She didn't know that Tang Guo, who had experienced countless worlds and played countless roles, could be anything she wanted to be. If Yi Zhou hadn't seen Tang Guo with his own eyes last night, he would never have thought that she was the one who did it. Second sister, no matter what, I need to search your courtyard. Tang Huan calmed down as he didn't see anything wrong with Tang Guo. He couldn't panic at this time. If he panicked a little, he might miss out on something. Moreover, Tang Guo was still a suspect, so she didn't dare to let her guard down. It's not that I don't want you to search, but I'm the daughter of the first wife of the Tang family. If you search my courtyard as you please, how will others laugh at me if word gets out? Tang Huan's heart sank. At the same time, his suspicion of Tang Guo lessened. Tang Guo had always been so arrogant. It would be strange to let her search the courtyard so easily. Second sister, let me check first. If second sister is innocent, I will apologize to you. Tang Guo yawned. What's the use of apologizing? You said that I hid someone in my courtyard, and then you brought people to search my courtyard with great fanfare. What will others think of this if word gets out? Big sister, you're really impressive. If it weren't for me, everyone would think that you're the daughter of the first wife of the Tang family. Tang Huan pursed his lips. Second sister, what do you want for me to search your courtyard? Beg me. What? Tang Huan thought that he heard wrong. Tang Guo said it again, looking very arrogant. She played the role of the arrogant and despotic young lady incisively and vividly. I said, if you beg me, I'll let you search my courtyard. Tang Huan pursed his lips. Begging Tang Guo. She couldn't do it. Of course, Tang Guo knew that Tang Huan couldn't do it. She smiled. This is a little difficult for you. Change the condition. Second sister, go ahead. Tang Huan breathed a sigh of relief. Who tripped me a few months ago? She really held a grudge. The summit. Chapter 182. Tang Huan did not expect Tang Guo's second condition to be so difficult. Of course, she knew who had tripped Tang Guo. She did not stop her, nor did she reveal this secret to anyone. Second sister, I just want the truth that harmed me. That's not too much, is it? Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. Big sister, you should know. Tang Huan did not speak. This was Tang Guo. She was arrogant and hateful. She grabbed her weakness and beat her mercilessly. Big sister, if you feel that it's difficult to betray your teammate, then beg me. After all, I have the right to make you beg me if you don't want to tell me the truth. Tang Guo's face rippled with a smile. It was so ostentatious that it blinded Yi Zhou's eyes and charmed his heart to beat wildly. His cousin was so charming. His heart was about to jump out of his chest. He could not hold it in anymore. Remember, you have to kneel down if you beg me. Tang Guo raised her chin proudly and acted out the image of a villain. I have the right to be angry. Tang Huan clenched her fists tightly. She would never beg Tang Guo. I'll tell you. Tang Guo smiled. Who is it? Bo Shifeng or Bao Ling er? Tang Huan suddenly looked up and her eyes darkened. How could Tang Guo be sure that it was these two people? Did they know who tripped her or not? Regardless of whether they knew or not, she had no choice. Bao Ling er. Tang Huan spat out these 3 words. Without waiting for Tang Guo to say anything, she said, Second sister, can you let me go in and search now? Tang Guo stepped aside and raised her eyebrows. Go ahead. It's rare to see big sister bow down to me. I'm quite happy. Tang Huan did not even look at her and went in with her men. Remember, don't mess with my things. Otherwise, I'll ask big sister for compensation. Tang Huan's footsteps froze. The moment the people who were searching touched the items, they almost pushed the items away. Then, they became cautious. After moving the items away, they quickly put them back in their original position, afraid that the person outside would be angry and ask them to compensate them. Tang Guo was all smiles. Yi Zhou was also staring at Tang Guo happily. Do you want your cousin to help you teach Bao Ling a lesson? When he said this, Yi Zhou seemed to be smiling, but the coldness in his eyes could not be concealed. Tang Guo shook her head. No need. She won't have a good life after today. What is it? Tang Guo whispered, Cousin, do you know what kind of rumors will spread outside later? There will be rumors outside that the eldest miss of the family Tang clan went into my courtyard to search for her concubine. She told me that the one who tripped me a few months ago was Bao Ling, and I almost died in the mouth of a demonic beast. Soon, Bao Ling, will know the truth. She will come to question Tang Huan and ask her why she said that. Bao Ling, is a very selfish person. Because Tang Huan had ruined her reputation, she would hate Tang Huan to death. No matter how Tang Huan explained, it would be useless. Tang Guo smiled. Bao Shifeng will help Tang Huan plead for mercy. When Bao Ling hears this, she will hate Tang Huan even more. She will think that Bao Shifeng has been drugged by Tang Huan and doesn't even care about his own sister. The 2 siblings will break up because of Tang Huan. Yi Zhou, system, sinister. How sinister? Cousin, how can you be so bad and cute? Yi Zhou could not help but touch her forehead. His gem-like eyes flickered with a beautiful light. Cousin's heart is beating wildly because of you. My soul is almost gone. What do you think we should do? Cousin, I won't go back. Maybe it's delicious. Peek. Chapter 183. Things were developing as Tang Guo had expected. Not long after Tang Huan searched her courtyard, rumors started spreading. Tang Guo's reputation was too great. Not only was she arrogant and despotic, but she was also a high-level alchemist who could refine perfected spirit pills. Bao Ling's name was immediately known by everyone in Ping City. They all condemned her for being so vicious. They also found out that the 2 of them were cousins. They found it unbelievable that she would push her cousin into the mouth of a demon beast. How black-hearted was she? Bao Ling instantly became the representative of black-hearted people. She was the kind that could never be washed clean. As long as Tang Guo was mentioned, Bao Ling was likely to be mentioned. Now, whenever Bao Ling went out, people would point fingers at her and gossip about her. Several forces even expressed that they would not form a marriage alliance with the Bao family. These forces came to look for Tang Guo like a lackey. They first expressed that they would not have anything to do with the Bao family. Then, they took out generous rewards and several portions of spirit herbs to invite Tang Guo to refine pills. Medicine Master Tang, are you in a good mood recently? Tang Guo was invited into a luxurious restaurant. The people who invited her were several powerful families in Ping City. They joined forces to invite her and also to exclude the Bao family. They had analyzed the personality of the second miss of the family. She was a vengeful person. Based on their performance this time, there was a high chance that Tang Guo would help them. It was not that they did not want to find other alchemists, but the pills they wanted to refine were very rare. There were only 1 or 2 portions of spirit herbs. It was absolutely impossible to find other alchemists. However, it was different if they looked for Tang Guo. They had not heard of her failing in refining pills. It's quite good. Then, will Medicine Master Tang help us? The representatives of the major forces asked cautiously. Regardless of success, we have prepared generous rewards for Medicine Master Tang. Please give it a try. Even if it did not succeed, it would be a pity at most. They could still make friends with this potential stock. It was definitely worth it. Sure. The people who asked heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally succeeded this time. Bring them all over. This time, Tang Guo did not reject anyone. Of course, it was only limited to the few lackeys in front of her. She smiled and kept the elixirs from the few clans. You guys are really good at bootlicking. Come and get it in 3 days. They were overjoyed, but they tried to remain calm on the surface. Then, they said, we have prepared a nice courtyard for Pharmacist Tang. If Pharmacist Tang feels uncomfortable living in the family Tang, he can move there at any time. Thank you. Tang Guo nodded proudly. She had no intention of refusing at all. Seeing that Tang Guo had accepted the benefits, everyone was well aware of it. They didn't say anything else. The result was very good. After returning to the family Tang, Tang Guo took out all the items and checked them. The rewards from these families were indeed very generous. Only one clan had prepared a single portion of spiritual medicine, while the other clans had prepared 2 to 5 portions each. She only needed to hand over 1 portion, and the rest would belong to her. She didn't see Tang Huan. She heard that Tang Huan was still looking for concubine Lu Tang Haohui was also looking for someone and had no time to disturb her for the time being. Over at the Marquis's household, since that night a few days ago, the servants of the Marquis's household knew that there was a mysterious beauty hidden in their second young master's room. Countless people were guessing who this person was. Xing Song hid her very well. He didn't even let the servant girl who took care of him see her. That's right, he had already found out her identity from Lu Yinyang. He laughed. Did she think that he would let her go if she revealed her identity? Too naive. Peak. Chapter 184. 3 days later, Tang Guo handed over the refined spirit dawn to the various factions. The faction that had only produced 1 set of spirit dawn didn't fail. That faction was extremely grateful to Tang Guo. Some of the major forces even asked, Medicine Master Tang, did you succeed? They were just curious. No matter how many sets of pills were produced, they only got 1 set of pills. There were 10 pills in the jade bottle they were holding. Yes. Tang Guo nodded and didn't hide anything. Why? If you need a lot, you can buy them from me or exchange them with high-grade pills. The representatives were pleasantly surprised. They immediately expressed that they wanted to exchange. Afraid that Tang Guo would go back on her words, they quickly took out their wealth and showed it to her. Yi Zhou was also stunned for a moment. Then, he saw Tang Guo glance at him indifferently, and his attention was drawn to her. Cousin, see if there's anything you want. Yi Zhou was surprised. Cousin, you're letting me choose. Of course. Cousin, do you not want it? Or do you not like it? When the representatives heard this, the corners of their mouths twitched. Little prince, why are you here? These things are very precious. Even the palace doesn't have them. Yes. Yi Shou quickly said. Of course, he wanted what his cousin gave him. He really picked a few that he could use. Then, he gave them to Tanghua. Although the factions were pained, they felt that it was worth it. When the factions left satisfied, Yi Shou was immersed in Tanghua's sweetness. His cousin was really like her name. She looked sweet, but if he ate her, she would be even sweeter. He really wanted to eat her. Cousin, do you have other thoughts about me? Are you going to agree to my request? Tanghua glanced at him. Cousin, don't be too greedy. I've already said that I don't like to go back to the same old grass. Then why are you so good to me? You want me to treat you badly. If cousin feels that it's too difficult, I'll try to treat you a little worse. I didn't mean that, Yi Shou said hurriedly. He was afraid that Tanghua would ignore him the next day. She would definitely do it. Cousin, be good. Don't be greedy. I'm only good to you. Other than nodding in agreement, what else could Yi Shou do? A sweet, bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This was all a hole that he had dug himself. What else could he do? Take it. Imperial brother, my big brother, what do you think I should do now? Cousin said that she won't turn back. Yi Fan sat on the dragon throne and dealt with official matters. Hearing Yi Shou's words, he couldn't help but raise his head and laugh. Do you regret it now? Yi Shou slumped weakly on the chair with a worried look on his face. Brother, why didn't you try to persuade me earlier? Perhaps if I had listened to you, I wouldn't have been in a hurry to have my cousin break off the engagement. What did she say? I want to be together with her openly and get married. She said that I'm too greedy and told me to be obedient and only be good to me. Yi Fan was overjoyed when he heard this. Isn't that good? Brother, you think this is good? Yi Shou looked at Yi Fan. Then why do I have so many nephews? Yi Fan coughed lightly. Don't those women want to give birth? Let them give birth to a few more so that they won't bother me. Yi Shou. So this was how his nephews came to be. Brother, don't bother me. Go find your cousin. You chose the path yourself. Just accept it. Yi Shou pursed his lips and got up from the chair in a fit of anger. He tidied up his messy red robe, glanced at his heartless brother, and finally left helplessly. Yi Fan shook his head, still laughing. Finally, there was someone who could control his younger brother. Peek. Chapter 185. Yi Shou was in hot water every day. If his cousin didn't like him and didn't treat him well, he wouldn't be so upset. However, his cousin seemed to like him very much and treated him well. It was as if she was going to spoil him to the heavens. Bah, no, he was the one who spoiled his cousin to the heavens. Recently, Tang Haohui was in a terrible fix. First, his favorite concubine Lu disappeared, and she hadn't been found until now. Then there were rumors that he favored his concubine and neglected his wife, treating his legitimate daughter worse than a concubine's daughter. If no one said anything, the key was that his legitimate daughter had been very powerful recently. Before he could do anything, the Tang clan had come to his doorstep. All the people of virtue and prestige had appeared. Tang Haohui was drenched in cold sweat as he faced this group of people. His scalp was numb. Clan leader. Tang Haohui stood up and bowed. May I know why clan leader is here today? He was the head of the family Tang clan, but there was still a clan leader above the head of the clan. This was the person who managed the Tang clan and could remove him from the position of the head of the clan. The position of the head of the clan was very important. It meant that his bloodline belonged to the direct line of descent, and he could also control the resources outside. In short, there were many benefits. The Tang clan leader glanced at him indifferently. Originally, we didn't want to interfere in your matters, but we heard that you listened to that concubine Lu and wanted to appoint a marriage for Tanghua. Tang Haohui's forehead was covered in cold sweat. She's almost 17 and has just broken off the engagement. Yunzi has never been in charge, and she, is also kind. Humph. The Tang clan leader snorted in annoyance. I didn't know that a mere concubine would dare to interfere with the legitimate daughter. It's not easy for our family Tang to have such a person. Instead of staying well, you keep pushing people outside. I'm a little doubtful of your ability. Tang Haohui's face paled a little. Clan leader means that Tanghua can't get married. Whether she gets married or not is no longer important to her. You are no longer qualified to meddle in her affairs. From today onwards, as the family head, I grant Elder Tanghua the position of elder. In the future, her marriage will no longer be decided by her parents. No one is allowed to force her. You, the head of the Tang family, have no right to lecture her. In short, Elder Tang is very important to our family. We can't disappoint Elder Tang just because of some people. What a joke. A senior alchemist who was not even 17 years old, and one who had refined a great perfection alchemist, not only did he not flatter him, he even hoped to push him out. This Tang Haohui was an idiot. If he hadn't come out of seclusion early, who knew what would have happened later? Tang Haohui was a little dumbfounded. Why did the clan think so highly of his daughter? I've already said my piece. If you're not satisfied with Elder Tang staying here, the clan has plenty of residences. He had hoped that Tanghua would be dissatisfied with Tang Haohui and move directly to the residence prepared by the clan. Tang Haohui did not like Tanghua, but there were people in the Tang clan who liked her. People outside were envious of the Tang clan. Tang Haohui's brain must have been crushed by a door. He spoiled a concubine's daughter and disliked the daughter of the first wife since she was young. Regardless of how ugly Tang Haohui's expression was, Tanghua, who had become an elder of the Tang clan, received gifts from the various branches of the Tang clan. They also said that they should visit her when they were free. Tanghua, who had become an elder, smiled and said, "Okay. Since you've become an elder, if the clan has any rare elixirs to refine, you can come to me. I'll give you half the price." This condition could be said to be very generous. The members of the Tang clan smiled and decided to get closer to this little elder who was not even 17 years old. They thought, is Tang Haohui blind to such a good person? The Peak. Chapter 186. The Tang clan leader was worried that someone would harm Elder Tanghua, so he sent 2 Yuan-Jun realm guards to protect her. Tanghua accepted them with a smile and asked them to guard the door of her courtyard. Other than Yizhou, no one was allowed to enter without her permission. I'll take care of all your elixirs from now on. It was indeed a grievance to let a Yuan-Jun guard the door. However, they did not feel wronged at all. If Elder Tanghua were to take care of all their elixirs, there would be many people fighting for this job. They even thought that it was fortunate that they were sent here because of their inexperience. If others knew about this, they would regret not taking the job. If anyone dares to barge in, throw them out. Don't be merciful. If they die, it's on me. Not long after Tanghua gave this order, someone bumped into them. Get out of the way. I'm her cousin. Can't I see her? Miss Bao, you should leave. Elder Tang said that she doesn't want to see you. If you don't leave, we won't be polite. Bao Ling's eyes widened. This is ridiculous. I want to go in. What can you do to me? Then, she wanted to barge in. The two looked at each other and threw Bao Ling towards the wall of the family Tang. Bao Ling was thrown out just like that and landed on a stall. The surrounding people saw a huge object being thrown out of the family Tang and thought that it was something big. They all came forward and saw Bao Ling climbing up with vegetables hanging on her head. She was in a sorry state. The two Yuan Jun realm masters jumped onto the wall and said coldly, "If you offend Elder Tang again, it won't be as simple as throwing you out." Bao Ling was intimidated by the aura of the Yuan Jun realm masters. She had not been out for a long time and the world seemed to have changed. The surrounding people finally recognized that this was the Miss Bao who had pushed the daughter of the family Tang to feed the demon beast. They immediately looked at her with disdain. At that moment, Bao Ling hated Tang Gua to the core. Of course, she hated Tang Huan even more. A two-faced person who betrayed her and even stole her brother's soul. Now, she had to let her brother accompany her every day. Bao Ling left in a huff. If she didn't have it easy, Tang Huan wouldn't have it easy either. Tang Gua could not afford to offend him, but Tang Huan might not. To ruin her reputation, she also wanted to ruin Tang Huan's reputation. Before Bao Linger could take revenge, something happened. The place of the incident was the Marquis's estate, and the person involved was the Marquis's estate's second young master, Xing Song. Now, the entire Ping Qing was talking about this matter. They were also relishing in such a huge scandal. The situation was like this. It was unknown who had revealed to Tang Huan that there was a woman hidden in the Marquis's second young master's room. It was said that her name was Lu, and she was very much favored by the second young master. Xing Song hid her very well. There were many people in the Marquis Fu, especially the number of maids who served him. Recently, he was very interested in Lu Yinyang, causing the maids who did not know the truth to be jealous. They secretly spread the news that the second young master of the Marquis Fu doted on Lu Shi. She actually wanted to help concubine Lu pull hatred, so that everyone would target her together. In the end, the news spread outside. Tang Huan was anxiously looking for concubine Lu. Although he felt that it was impossible, he still quietly went to look for her. In the end, he just happened to bump into Xing Song torturing concubine Lu. At that time, concubine Lu was not wearing anything. She was completely absent-minded and her body was covered in blood. Xing Song was in high spirits. He didn't know why he was interested in beauties who liked to sleep in the bloody forest. Tang Huan's anger surged. He pushed Xing Song away, pulled out his sword and chopped Xing Song's thing. Xing Song screamed and ran out of the room. Not long after, the entire Marquis Fu was in an uproar. Peak. Chapter 187. Tang Huan couldn't care less about Xing Song. She wrapped the dazed Lu Yinyang in a blanket and was about to leave the residence. How could the people of the residence let her leave? Madame knew that her second son's penis had been cut off and ordered to capture Tang Huan. 7th Prince Yi Yan and young Master Bo Shifeng, who had received the news, rushed over immediately to save the damsel in distress. The two sides fought fiercely and half of the residence was destroyed. In the end, the two of them successfully brought Tang Huan and Lu Yinyang back and the news spread. Now Master Ho would definitely not give up. He wanted Tang Haohui to give him an explanation. After all, his son's penis was gone. He had to at least ask Tang Haohui to hand over Tang Huan. Xing Song even threatened to make Tang Huan his concubine. Otherwise, this matter would not be over. Tang Guo was eating this melon excitedly. No wonder no one came to look for her recently. So many things had happened. Tang Haohui felt very uncomfortable. The woman he doted on the most had made him a cuckold and everyone in Ping City knew about it. He could feel the gazes of passers-by when he walked out. Now the residence was under a lot of pressure and he couldn't really hand over Tang Huan. In the end, they were wronged. His concubine was bullied by Jing Song. Shouldn't they be the ones seeking justice? Thus, the two sides were in a stalemate. After Lu Yinyang woke up, her temperament changed drastically. She hid in the house and didn't dare to come out. Tang Huan was even more furious. He regretted not killing Jing Song directly. In fact, the happiest person was not Tang Gua, but Bao Ling. She hadn't done anything yet and such a big thing had happened to Tang Huan. She was really happy. The two sides were in a stalemate for half a month without a result. This had nothing to do with Tang Gua. But Tang Huan had used some method to make Lu Yinyang recover. She had become gloomy and her eyes were very scary. Until now, they still didn't understand why Lu Yinyang was in the residence. Jing Song said that Lu Yinyang appeared in his house herself. Of course, the others didn't believe it. Master, I'm already like this. Huan did it for me. I don't want anything to happen to Huan. As long as Huan avoids this disaster, I will go to the temple to pray for you and Huan. I won't come back in this life. When Tang Haohui heard this, Lu Yinyang's matter really made him uncomfortable. She was no longer clean, so it was just right for her to go to the temple. As long as Huan passes through safely, I will definitely go. Lu Yinyang looked aggrieved. Although I really can't bear to part with Laoi, I also know that I am no longer worthy of Laoi. My existence in the family Tang will discredit Laoi and make Huan unable to raise her head. In the future, Laoi will announce that I have died of illness. It's not that I don't want to die, it's that I don't want to let you go. Hearing this, Tang Haohui was very touched, and a bit of pity rose in his heart. He seemed to have made a big decision and nodded. All right, I'll protect Huan. Old master must be troubled. Is it that the Marquis' estate will not let this matter go? That's right. The Marquis' residence isn't any weaker than our family Tang. The clan also said that this matter was caused by Huan, and that we have to solve it ourselves. They won't interfere. Lu Yinyang's eyes darkened. Actually, letting Huan be the other party's concubine is at most to let the other party vent. They won't get any benefits, so it's better to change the method. What method? Let the second miss go. Lu Yinyang's eyes flashed. Isn't the second miss a high-level pill refiner? Let her go help the Marquis Fu refine medicine. She won't be tortured. Huan is her older sister, she won't not help, right? Tang Haohui was slightly moved. With Tang Gua's status, the Marquis Fu didn't dare to do anything to her. This was a good method. The peak. Chapter 188. Tang Gua choked and looked at Tang Haohui and Lu Yinyang in disbelief. Lu Yinyang was wiping her eyes with a handkerchief and was even kneeling in front of her, sobbing softly. Tang Huan was not around. She had gone to the 7th prince's residence to seek refuge, afraid that the House of Ho would forcibly arrest her. If Tang Huan knew what they were going to do, he would probably stop them. Why would they think that she would go to the House of Ho to help Tang Huan? The House of Ho has agreed. As long as you help them refine medicine for 5 years, the matter will be written off. Tang Haohui said matter-of-factly. Huaner is your sister after all. It's not her fault this time. Help her. You won't suffer any grievances anyway. The 2 Yuan monarchs guarding the door heard this and looked at each other. Their eyes clearly revealed that Tang Haohui was an idiot. For a concubine's daughter, especially one who caused trouble himself, to hand Elder Tang over to the House of Ho. His head must have been caught in the door. Second miss, please help Huaner. If Juana goes to the House of Ho, she will definitely lose her life. The second young master of the House of Ho is really inhumane. Lu Yinyang cried miserably, trying to gain sympathy. Unfortunately, other than herself, the two Yuan monarchs in Tanggua's courtyard were Tang Haohui and Lu Yinyang. No matter how hard she cried, no one would sympathize with her. Perhaps only Tang Haohui knew how to do it. Who gave you the courage to think that I would agree? Tanggua widened her eyes. Are you guys shameless? Lu Yinyang bit her lips and looked at Tang Haohui pitifully. As expected, Tang Haohui's face darkened. You are a member of the Tang family. How can you not help when your sister is in trouble? Are you really so cold-hearted? Anyway, the House of Ho has agreed. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to, you have to go. Tang Zhou, Tang Shi, beat these two up and throw them out. The two Yuan monarchs had long wanted to take action. When they heard Tanggua's words, they rushed in instantly. They did not care about Lu Yinyang and targeted Tang Haohui directly. Although Tang Haohui was also a Yuan monarch, how could an early-stage and late-stage Yuan monarch compare? Furthermore, there were two late-stage primordial immortals dealing with him. He was no match for them at all. In just a short while, he was beaten black and blue. After the beating, they threw Tang Haohui out of the family Tang restaurant. The people outside had been waiting for something to be thrown out of the family Tang restaurant. When he saw Tang Haohui lying on the ground, he snorted. He was actually the head of the family Tang clan. How interesting. My family Tang clan's eldest daughter is really amazing. Tang Jiu and Tang Shi looked at the crying and pale Lu Yinyang and felt a little troubled. They didn't know what to do with a woman. I'll do it myself. Tanggua didn't make things difficult for them. Walking in front of Lu Yinyang, she bent down slightly and laughed softly. It was you who suggested for me to go to the Marquis Fu. Lu Yinyang didn't say anything. Tanggua didn't expect an answer either. She raised her hand and slapped Lu Yinyang's face several times. She did it cleanly and without any hesitation. This made Tanggua and Tang Jiu respect her. Following that, Tanggua grabbed Lu Yinyang's collar and walked step by step towards the entrance of the family Tang restaurant. When she reached the entrance, Tang Haohui was already gone. The people outside felt that the melon was big enough, but they didn't expect there to be more to eat. They quickly looked at Tanggua and the thing in her hand with shining eyes. It was probably a person. Tanggua threw Lu Yinyang onto the street like she was throwing trash. Lu Yinyang suggested for me to go to the Marquis Fu to replace Tang Huan. I want to ask everyone, did I eat her food, wear her clothes, or do I owe her and her mother anything? Tang Huan committed a crime, offended someone, and even chopped off someone's manhood. Yet, she was afraid of trouble and hid in her man's house. Peak. Chapter 189. Her biological parents thought of a good idea to let me go to the Marquis's mansion. I don't understand. We have the same father. I suspect that I was adopted. I'm not afraid of being laughed at, but I was born in the family Tang. My biological mother focused on cultivation and didn't care about my existence. My biological father didn't care about me, his daughter. It's a miracle that I could grow up to this age and live to this day. As for cultivation resources, he always thinks of my eldest sister. Fortunately, there is the existence of the clan. The only people in the Tang family that I have a good impression of are the elders of the clan. Tanggua glanced at Concubine Lu, who had her head buried in the ground. Concubine Lu, I actually have to thank you. Thank you for giving me a dose of poison before I grew up. Everyone shook their heads. They pitied this young miss of the family Tang family. In the past, they didn't know. They only knew that she was an arrogant and despotic person. Later on, when things were exposed one after another, they understood that if the young miss of the Tang family wasn't arrogant, she wouldn't be able to survive. What kind of people were in the Tang family? It's fine if they don't care about me, but I really didn't expect them to be so excessive. When something happened, they directly pushed me out. Is there anyone from the Marquis's mansion here? I heard from Tang Haohui that you agreed to his request. There were indeed spies of the Marquis's mansion here. When they heard Tang Guo's words, their hearts trembled. Should they admit it? I didn't ask you to stand out. I just informed you. When you agreed, you already offended me. I'm a very vengeful person. In the future, I won't accept anything related to the Marquis's mansion. The spies of the Marquis's mansion didn't care. The Marquis's mansion was big and had a lot of businesses. What request did they have for Tang Guo? You can go and reply. I'm now an elder of the Tang clan. I'm not receiving orders from my parents. I'm living here because this is my place. Why should I move out? So I won't go to the Marquis's mansion. If you dare to provoke me, I believe the entire Tang family won't let you go. Touch me, you can try. And me, cousin. How could you forget about me? With your cousin here, who dares to touch you? Yi Shou quickly ran to Tang Guo's side, saying that he would back her up. With me here, the people of the Marquis mansion can come and try. Also, you have already offended me. Offending me is the same as offending my royal brother. I hold grudges, and so does my royal brother. The people of the Marquis's mansion turned pale with fright and hurriedly left secretly to report this news to the Marquis. Cousin, it's not comfortable to live here. Do you want to move to another place? Yi Shou really didn't like the people from the family Tang group. He felt disgusted when he saw them. Tang Guo raised her eyebrows and smiled. Why should we change the location? Are we giving them a place to stay? I'm the daughter of the first wife of the family Tang. This place is mine. My father doesn't have a son, so the entire family Tang will be mine in the future. Yi Zhou. Okay, his cousin was right. It was all hers. If only he was hers too. It didn't take long for the news that Tang Guo threw Tang Haohui and concubine Lu out to be spread like wildfire. The people of the Tang family were the first to react. They spread the word. Marquis's mansion, if you dare to touch Elder Tang Guo, you can try. These words made it clear that Tang Guo had the entire Tang family behind her. This was different from Tang Huan. Everyone pondered for a moment. Tang Guo's status in the Tang family was higher than Tang Haohui's. The Marquis's mansion fell into silence. This didn't mean that they had given up. Of course, they didn't dare to have any ideas about Tang Guo. As for Tang Guo's words about holding grudges, they didn't care. After Tang Huan found out, he was very angry. It's not that she didn't want to. She just had to humiliate my concubine. Tang Guo was even more annoying. Peak. Chapter 190. In the end, the grudge between Tang Huan and the House of Marquis was resolved by Yi Yan. Although Yi Yan was the seventh prince, the House of Marquis was not to be trifled with. They promised countless benefits before the House of Marquis relented. They also asked Tang Huan to help Jing Song refine spirit pills to treat his body unconditionally. Among them, the muscle regenerating pill was the most. The muscle regenerating pill could replenish blood and flesh, but it could not allow something to grow back. Tang Huan was furious in his heart, but he had no choice but to agree. With the spirit pill she refined, if something happened to Jing Song's body, the House of Marquis would find trouble with her. At this moment, she only felt that she was still not strong enough. When she became stronger, she would sooner or later wash the house of Marquis with blood. From that day onwards, Tang Guo was brought back to the palace by Yi Zhou, wanting her to have a few days of peace. Tang Guo did not refuse. Recently, she really did not want to see concubine Lu and Tang Haohui. Of course, she guessed that Tang Haohui would soon invite Bao Yunzi out of closed-door cultivation. She really did not want to see him. Other than Yi Zhou, the person he saw the most in the palace was Yi Fan. The three of them basically ate together. Apart from outsiders, Yi Zhou and Yi Fan's relationship was very good. In front of his own people, he called brother Yi Fan, brother. Yi Fan was a very tolerant brother, following Yi Zhou. In addition, the person who ate with them was actually a middle-aged eunuch. Needless to say, he must be someone Yi Fan trusted very much. She didn't know if it was because she had been looking at him for a long time, but Yi Fan explained. Wei Yuan has been with me since he was young. If cousin needs anything, you can look for him directly. Yi Fan smiled. Actually, he should have gone even higher. It's just that once, when I was being chased, he blocked a blade for me in order to save me. He was injured in a place that shouldn't be injured, so he just stayed in the palace. Yi Zhou added, actually, Brother Wei was my brother's good friend when he was young. Tang Guo was surprised for a moment, but at the same time, she laughed, causing the others to be surprised. Big cousin and this Brother Wei, do you want to recover? When the three of them heard this, they all stared at her in shock. They even carefully analyzed the meaning of these words and found it hard to believe. You're right. That's what I meant. I said that the people of the Marquis' estate will regret offending me. Wei Dage, meeting me is your fortune. Wei Yuan was not calm this time. If he could be a normal man, who would want to be a eunuch? He had no choice but to make this choice. Yi Fan allowed him to stay in the palace to provide him with a quiet place. Really? Wei Yuan asked, looking a little excited. Really? Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. The only request is that after success, you help me publicize my abilities. The Marquis Fu must know immediately. Yi Fan came back to his senses and laughed. All right, as long as little cousin can help Wei Yuan return to normal, I will satisfy any request you have. Even if you want Yi Zhou, I will give it to you. Tang Guo was a little speechless when she saw that she had given her younger brother to her. Yi Zhou secretly gave his brother a thumbs up. My dear brother, he really is my dear brother. Wei Yuan smiled faintly and did not speak. After a while, he said, I don't have anything on me, but if sister needs any help in the future, such as how to kill two people without anyone knowing, I can still do it. I am also quite good at beating people. After being in the palace for so many years, I still have some understanding of how to teach people a lesson. The system that was silently watching all of this trembled like a sieve. What kind of people are these? So cruel. Peak. Chapter 191. Have you heard? The chief steward of the Night Emperor has become a normal man. Ah. Is there such a thing? Yes, I have a relative who works in the palace. It is said that this chief steward was originally a normal man. He did not enter the palace to become the chief steward on his own initiative. When he was young, he blocked a knife for the Night Emperor and was injured in that place, so he had no choice. I don't quite believe that things that are broken can grow back. Who is so capable? You've asked the right question. You've all heard of this capable person. The rumors about her from some time ago have not dissipated even now. Hurry up and tell us. Don't keep us in suspense. She is the eldest daughter of the family, Tang Guo. The news is absolutely true. If you have doubts, go and confirm it yourselves. The chief steward is no longer the chief steward. He has been given a title by the Night Emperor and has a fief. He is also allowed to live in the palace and can attend court together. As soon as this was said, everyone was in an uproar. Was the eldest daughter of the family Tang family really so capable? At the same time, the Marquis' residence also received the news. The Marquis' residence was the first to receive the news. Tang Huan and Tang Haohui also received the news. Of course, these two were not in a good mood. Tang Guo clearly had a way, but why did she not take it out earlier? At this time, everyone could not help but remember what Tang Guo said at the entrance of the family Tang family. The Marquis' residence had already offended her. In the future, she would not accept anything related to the Marquis' residence. Therefore, they silently lit a candle for the Marquis' residence. Unfortunately, they had already offended her. The eldest daughter of the family Tang family was not an easy person to deal with. Master Marquis, what should we do? It has been confirmed that King Yuan has recovered. Otherwise, why would the Night Emperor give him a fief? It is said that the woman who had been waiting for King Yuan infatuatedly is going to marry him soon. If he had not recovered, would they have gotten married? It was impossible even to think about it. Let me think about it. Master Marquis, do you still need to think about it? No matter what, we have to invite Tang Guo to help. Our Choner's life is already hard enough. We have to cure him. Master Marquis was in a dilemma. That person was not easy to talk to and there were so many people protecting her. He could not afford to offend her. He did not think so before, so he agreed to Tang Haohui's plan. The Marchioness was delighted and hurriedly agreed. Big Brother Wei, congratulations. It turns out that there is such an infatuated person waiting for you. Tang Guo was surprised. That woman was truly infatuated with him. Fortunately, the person he waited for finally arrived. It was a joyous occasion. Wei Yuan was very grateful to Tang Guo. He didn't expect such a day to come. Wei Yuan chuckled and did not care about Yi Zhou's words. He only said, "Good luck." In his opinion, it was impossible. Miss Tang, there is news that the head of the family Tang wants to see you. They were talking when they heard a servant report that Tang Haohui wanted to see Tang Guo. They were speechless. They did not say anything and waited for Tang Guo to make a decision. Just throw it out. Don't report anything about Tang Haohui in the future. The servant took the order and left. Not long after, he came back and said that Bao Yunzi was here. Chapter 192. Bao Yunzi hadn't been to the palace for many years. It should be said that ever since her sister married the previous emperor of the night, she had stopped coming to the palace. Every time she came, she felt uncomfortable in her heart. She could always think of how she was inferior to her sister. Why was her sister able to marry the man with the highest status in the immortal peace country, while she could only marry the head of the family Tang? She must have been possessed to marry Tang Haohui because of his sweet nothings. All these years she regretted it so much. Every time she saw her daughter, Tang Guo, she would recall her shameful choice. But on the other hand, she hoped that her daughter could complete what she couldn't. Ever since Tang Huan showed her talent, she was very concerned. She couldn't wait for her daughter to surpass Tang Huan. She couldn't compare to her own sister, but her daughter couldn't be worse than a concubine's daughter, right? Later on, Tang Huan's reputation grew, and Tang Guo's reputation was also known. It was just that one person had a good reputation, and the other was the arrogant, domineering, and unforgiving young miss of the family Tang. All the rumors about Tang Huan were good, but what about Tang Guo? They were all unpleasant words. She regretted giving birth to this daughter. Marrying Tang Haohui was her disgrace, and giving birth to this daughter was even more humiliating. Ever since she saw Tang Guo last time, she lost interest in this daughter. This time, when she came out of seclusion, she was called by Tang Haohui, who said that he needed her help. She inquired about what happened, but her heart didn't fluctuate much. Her first thought was that Tang Huan was indeed a concubine's daughter. How did that concubine climb into the Marquis's son's bed? How shameless. She didn't care at all who Tang Haohui liked. This person wasn't the person she liked. The Marquis's mansion and the family Tang had conflicts. Tang Huan chopped off the Marquis's son's family jewels. Everyone was saying that her daughter could help the Marquis's son. She came. She was not here to help the young master of the house of the Marquis, but because her daughter had already become so outstanding and had clearly surpassed Tang Huan. Now that Tang Guo had agreed, her reputation had become even more prominent, which was a good thing for her. As long as Tang Guo continued to be outstanding, she didn't care if Tang Guo was a disgrace to her. The more glorious Tang Guo was, the more people would ignore her past. Everyone would only admire her as the mother of an excellent high-level alchemist. The people of the Marquis's mansion have already come knocking on our door. Your anger should have more or less subsided. Treat him first. Bao Yunzi had the attitude of an elder. Her words were cold and emotionless. The eyes of Yi Shou and the others also turned cold. Bao Yunzi did not wait for Tang Guo to speak. A smile appeared on her face. I never thought that you would have already grown to be so outstanding, even more outstanding than Tang Guo. Tang Guo, I didn't come here for anything else today. I'll continue my closed-door training in 2 days. You just have to pick a time to treat him. As for the conflict between Tang Haohui and Tang Guo, she didn't care at all. I won't go. Bao Yunzi frowned. This is a good thing for you. It's just a small matter. What's wrong with being able to make a name for yourself? After today, the entire Marquis's mansion will view you as their benefactor. What's the use of reputation to me? Tang Guo smiled faintly. In the past, I was rumored to be an arrogant and despotic young miss. Why didn't you ask about it? Those are all bad rumors. Why should I ask you? If the rumors outside are bad, then it must be because you didn't do well enough. Now that you've done well, it will naturally be good. Bao Yunzi's theory made everyone present speechless. They felt cold and stifled for Tang Guo. Peak. Chapter 193. You're really not going. Bao Yunzi looked a little angry. I came to find you out of goodwill because I want you to have a good reputation. If it weren't for your bad reputation, how could your reputation be bad? Your reputation is bad, which is why Zhou broke off the engagement with you. Haven't you learned your lesson yet? Everyone present widened their eyes in disbelief. Especially Yi Zhou, who was called out. He and his cousin took the initiative to break off the engagement. How could he not know? Yi Zhou was a little angry. Madame Tang. Bao Yunzi, who was called Madame Tang, was a little confused. When she saw that Yi Zhou was calling her, she was puzzled. Why didn't he call her aunt? He used to call her aunt. Madame Tang, I want to make one thing clear. Cousin is very outstanding. I wasn't the one who broke off the engagement. However, this matter is no longer important. Please don't say that cousin is bad. Yi Zhou's angry expression was a little gloomy. He couldn't bear to see anyone say that his cousin was bad. No one. Bao Yunzi was frightened. She was stunned for a moment. Zhou didn't talk to me like this when we were young. Because Madame Tang's performance is not good, do you think this prince has to treat you with a good attitude? If you are good enough, why can't this prince treat you with a good attitude? Yi Zhou returned Bao Yunzi's words. Bao Yunzi was speechless, and her expression was a little ugly. Host, cousin is so mighty. Well done. Bao Yunzi looked at Tang Guo with a look that said, "How did I give birth to such an unfilial daughter?" No matter how good her temper was, she was a little unhappy. Even a fool could tell whether Tang Guo was a treasure or a grass. Only Bao Yunzi couldn't see it clearly. Perhaps she could see it clearly, but she was always immersed in her world. "I'm your mother. I've never asked for anything from you. This time, you must listen to me." Bao Yunzi was a little impatient. She wanted to vent her anger too much. "Okay." Tang Guo smiled. Before Bao Yunzi could be happy, she said, "My current identity is the family Tang elder, and a rare high-level medicine refiner. I can refine medicine refiners to perfection. If you beg me, I can agree to your request." Yi Zhou, who was originally angry because of Tang Guo, did not say anything. He felt like he had seen this scene somewhere before. Bao Yunzi was so angry that her body trembled. She looked at Tang Guo in disbelief. "I am the rumor that I am arrogant, domineering, unfilial, and disrespectful. In short, the good and bad rumors are all true." Tang Guo laughed and said, "Although I'm your mother, I'm an arrogant person who doesn't recognize anyone. I don't care who you are. If you want me to do something, you have to beg me." What kind of person was Bao Yunzi? She was proud by nature and would never lower her head. Just because her own sister married the man with the highest status in the immortal peace country, she could bear hatred and jealousy for the rest of her life. Asking her to beg her own daughter was worse than killing her. Unfilial daughter. Bao Yunzi put on the airs of a young lady of an aristocratic family. She looked beautiful when she scolded people. She did not know if she was tired of it after all these years. "You are an unfilial daughter." Yi Zhou did not want to say anything. This was a fucking retard. The system did not want to say anything either. It had accompanied the host for thousands of years, but this was the first time it met such a retard. Wei Yuan, who was watching the show, was very calm. He had been a eunuch for decades. This was nothing. Bao Yunzi looked at Tang Guo coldly and left sulkily. Before she left, Tang Guo said, "In the future, if you want me to do something, remember to be prepared to beg me." Bao Yunzi staggered and almost fell out of the door. Peak. Chapter 194. Yunzi, how is it? Returning to the Tang residence, Bao Yunzi was even angrier at Tang Haohui's eager gaze when she recalled the humiliation in the palace. She maintained her demeanor and looked at Tang Haohui with disgust. "Your good daughter asked me to beg her. Tang Haohui, you're such a good-for-nothing. Your daughter is so vile. I, Bao Yunzi, really regret choosing you." "Why did I choose you?" Bao Yunzi's eyes were dazed. "I'm clearly more outstanding than my sister. Whether it's the zither, chess, calligraphy, painting, cultivation talent, or appearance, my sister can't compare to me. The entire Xianping country knows of my beauty. So many people adore me. Why did I choose you?" Tang Haohui's expression was terrible. Bao Yunzi ignored him and went into seclusion in a daze. Seeing that it was useless to ask Tang Haohui for help, the Marquis's household finally brought everyone to the palace gates and requested to see Tang Guo. Yi Zhou had already ordered that Tang Haohui's family and the Marquis's household were blacklisted and were not allowed to enter the palace. Perhaps the Marquis's madam truly loved her son. She brought the womenfolk to kneel at the palace gates. "Second Miss Tang, I beg you. Please help my chanting her, okay? I'll do anything you want. I'll kowtow as much as you want. As long as you save my son, I'll agree to all your requests." The Marquise Madam's actions attracted many onlookers. The originally sparse palace gates were now filled with many people. The news of the Marquise Madam bringing the womenfolk to kneel at the palace gates quickly spread throughout Ping City. Do you think the eldest daughter of the family will agree? I think it's unlikely. Someone who could be thrown out by her own father without a second word. Do you think they will agree to the Marquis' request? Everyone was silent. Yes, the rumors during this time indicated that this was a master not to be trifled with. Not to be trifled with. The noon sun was high in the sky. The Marquis' household was kneeling outside, but the palace gates showed no signs of opening. The Marquise Madam could not hold on any longer. Her heart could not hold on. Second Miss Tang, you should at least come out and see me. For the sake of a mother, please take pity on me. However, no one paid her any attention. The madam of the Marquis' house was now somewhat uncertain. When she had come, she had thought that Tang Guo would definitely not refuse such a grand invitation. Half a day had passed, but not a single word had been spoken. She was starting to lose her composure. Finally, before the sun went down, Tang Guo appeared. Although the Marquis Madam felt very tired, but when she thought of her son's recovery, all the suffering she had suffered before was nothing. You said you can do anything. Everyone was about to leave, but when they saw Tang Guo appear, they felt happy and decided to sit down and enjoy the show. Every time there was a family Tang-style girl, there would definitely be delicious melons to eat. Yes. The Marquis Fu's madam's expression of facing death with equanimity caused people to be moved. Tang Guo's lips curled up slightly. Yi Zhou, who was familiar with her naughty actions, felt his heart beating fast. What should he do? He really liked his bad cousin. He liked it the most when his cousin was bad. The Marquis Madam is truly a loving mother. The madam of the Marquis' house did not understand the deeper meaning of these words and only thought that Tang Guo was sighing about her feelings for her son. Second Miss Tang, please state your request. I will definitely fulfill it. Tang Guo's stunning face flashed with a smile. At first glance, she only felt that it was beautiful, but upon closer inspection, she felt that this smile was very strange, somewhat gloomy, and made people feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. The Peak. Chapter 195. Madam Marquis, can you destroy your own cultivation for second young master? Tang Guo asked. Madam Marquis hesitated for a moment, then thought that it was better to be able to cultivate again after destroying one's cultivation. It was better than losing her son's manhood. I can agree. The onlookers were slightly moved. Tang Guo was not surprised. What was a mere destruction of one's cultivation? This is only the first request. Madame Marquis had a bad feeling. The first request was to destroy one's cultivation. She really did not know how she had offended Tang Guo. Could it be because of the two previous matters? The first was that Lu Yinyang wanted to marry Tang Guo to her song, The second was that Tang Haohui wanted Tang Guo to replace Tang Huan when she came. Thinking of this, Madame Marquis was not surprised. Tang Guo's vengeful personality was deeply ingrained in the hearts of everyone in Pingqing. They all felt that it was natural for her to take revenge on those who had treated her badly. Before I talk about the second request, let me tell you about a person first, Tang Guo said slowly. Yi Zhou clearly understood that this story would take a long time. He carefully brought out the tables and chairs, and even gave Tang Guo a comfortable cushion for her to sit on. Then, he ordered the servants to bring out some food and tea so that she wouldn't get tired or hungry. Yi Zhou clearly understood that this story would take a long time. He carefully brought out the tables and chairs, and even gave Tang Guo a comfortable cushion for her to sit on. The people in the Marquis' residence, who had been hungry and thirsty for the entire day, watched anxiously. At this moment, in their hearts, Yi Zhou was the most considerate person in the world. The onlookers looked at each other. Based on the little prince's behavior, did it really mean that the family Tang's legitimate daughter did not want him? It was indeed a good story. In the suburbs west of Pingqing, there is a family. The owner of this family is called a great philanthropist. Many people are very grateful to him. He has a gentle personality and treats people politely. Everyone who sees him calls him a good person. Many people are regretful that this good person does not have the talent for cultivation. They are all feeling sorry for him. At this point, Tang Guo paused for a moment. The onlookers present had already guessed who this good person was. This was because this had happened not long ago. It was something that had shocked the entire Pingqing. However, some time ago, the true face of this good man was exposed. It is said that he marries a wife every year. Because of his tough life, his wives don't live long. Even so, there are still countless families who are willing to marry their daughters to him. Because he is a good person. Tang Guo looked at the marquis's wife as she spoke. That meaningful gaze made her feel increasingly uneasy. The truth that was revealed was that his dozens of dead wives were actually tortured to death by him. Besides the daily beatings, he also raised large dogs at home and used these animals to humiliate his wife. It turns out that not only does he not have the talent for cultivation, he is also not good at it. Hearing this, everyone recalled the commotion from before and felt a wave of guilt in their hearts. As for the Marquis Madam, she felt that the next time Tang Guo opened her mouth, it would be something bad. When Tang Guo said this, she had a feeling that she was referring to Jing Song. That day, when Tang Huan had chopped off Jing Song's family jewels and carried Lu Yinyang out, everyone was guessing what had happened. Even though they had kept it a secret, there were still many rumors in Pingqing. In short, Song Er's reputation had been damaged. "Madam, aren't you willing to do anything for the second young master of the Marquis's family?" Tang Guo looked at the Marquis's wife with a smile. The latter was slightly afraid and clenched her hands tightly in her sleeves. "After you destroy your own cultivation, remarry the person I mentioned. I will help your son grow his family jewels." The Peak. Chapter 196. The Marquis Madam stood rooted to the ground in shock. The melon seeds fell out of the mouths of the onlookers. They stared wide-eyed at Tang Guo, as if to confirm that she wasn't joking just now. The Marquis Madam opened her mouth to say something, but when she met Tang Guo's half-smiling gaze, she couldn't say anything. "Second Miss Tang, your request is a bit too much." After mulling over it for a while, the Marquis Madam found something she could say. "I am the Marquis Madam, how can you make me marry someone else?" "I don't know what second Miss Tang's motive is." He seemed to be scrutinizing her as if he was suspecting that she was up to something. Tang Guo smiled. "Marquis Madam, remember, it was you who came begging me. It's you who can do anything you say. I put forward my own request, it's your choice whether to accept it or not." She had never thought of helping Jing Song grow his family jewels. Tang Huan had done something that made her feel carefree. The Marquis Madam's lips drooped, her face a bit pale. Impossible. She never wanted to see Tang Guo again. When she thought of losing her cultivation and being abused by that kind of person, the soles of her feet turned cold. She hurriedly led the womenfolk of the Marquis mansion back. The onlookers looked at the smug expression on Tang Guo's face and felt a chill run down their backs. This person really holds a grudge. In the future, they must not offend her. The Marquis mansion was a good example. "Cousin." Hearing Yi Zhou's drawl, Tang Guo's smile disappeared. She raised her head. "Cousin, what is it?" Yi Zhou directly squatted down beside her and put his hand on her knee. He even rubbed against her arm like a puppy trying to please its owner. "Cousin, I really like you." Yi Zhou's eyes were sparkling. There was only Tang Guo in them. His heart was beating so fast, beating only for her. He held her hand and touched it beside his face. I really like you. He liked her so much that his soul had been stolen away by his cousin. Spectators, little prince, what are you doing? We're still here. Cousin, can you agree to get engaged with me again? Tangua lowered her head and pulled her hand away. Seeing Yizhou's disappointed look, she put her hand on his head and patted it. She opened her mouth and said, Cousin, be good. If you're not, I'll ignore you. Cousin, you have to know how to be content. Yizhou whimpered and said pitifully, but I really want to marry my cousin. I want to have her babies. Little prince, you're really an eyesore. I can't stand it anymore. Cousin, I was wrong. It's best if I can change for the better. If you don't answer me today, I'll continue to work hard tomorrow. The onlookers thought that Yizhou would be disappointed, but they did not expect him to stand up and return to his previous state. He was still the high and mighty little prince. But there was something else in his eyes. It was Tangua. The way he looked at her was filled with gentleness all the time. The handsome young master in the flamboyant red robe had a bright smile on his face. He crossed his arms and looked at the equally flamboyant woman beside him with sparkling eyes. His smile suddenly disappeared and his expression became solemn and holy. I'll continue to work hard. One day, you'll agree to be touched by my sincerity. On that day, I'll personally put on the red wedding dress for you and hold your hand as we walk into the wedding hall. We'll swear to the heavens that we'll never leave each other. System, host, cousin is so serious. How can you bear to do that? Tangua smiled and said softly, I'll only be good to him in this life. System, motherfucker, host. Peak. Chapter 197. Ever since that day, the Marquis's wife never came to find Tangua again. During her time in the imperial palace, she lived a very comfortable life. Ever since Yizhou understood his feelings, he treated Tangua with utmost care. Even Yi Fan was very surprised. That unreliable younger brother of his only cared about cultivation. He never knew that Yizhou could be so good to a woman. Tangua's attitude confused everyone. On the one hand, she treated Yizhou really well. Aside from the fact that she didn't agree to be with him, almost everyone thought that they were a couple. Yizhou failed again and again. The more he fought, the more spirited he became. No matter how many times Tangua rejected him, he would be depressed for half a day at the beginning, but after half a day, he would recover. This kind of perseverance was worthy of being able to cultivate to a level that many people couldn't reach in their entire lives. In the blink of an eye, another 2 months passed. Cousin, you're going out to train. Yizhou expressed that he was very happy. He was also a bit tired of staying in the imperial palace. He carefully asked, Are you bringing me along? With that pitiful look, if she didn't bring him along, Tangua couldn't guarantee that he would cry in the next instant. What kind of person was Yizhou? In front of her, he was rather childish. In front of others, he was extremely arrogant. In front of his opponents, he was cold and heartless. He never hid what kind of person he was. He always showed it very clearly. I'm bringing you. If not you, who would I bring? Tangua found it funny. Don't tell me you're going to bring a dog. No. Even if you bring a dog, it can only be me, Yizhou retorted. Then, he revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Only me. Only you. Yizhou felt that he was one step closer to his happy days. His cousin was only willing to bring him along. Didn't that mean that he was the most important person in her heart? Cousin, let me tell you something interesting. It happened yesterday. I'm sure you'll be very happy after hearing it. Yi Shou's lips curled into a confident smile. Tang Guo was very happy to hear this news. Without waiting for Tang Guo to ask, he started to speak. The matter at the Marquis' estate, the second son of the Marquis' estate is causing trouble again. Cousin, guess who he provoked this time? Faced with Tang Guo's puzzled gaze, Yi Shou couldn't wait any longer and answered directly, Bao Ling, her. Tang Guo laughed. She was very happy to hear the news. What happened? Xing Song no longer had his family jewels, and his image was almost ruined by the incident with Lu Yinyang. Now, no one was willing to marry their family's daughter over. Even many of the maids in the Marquis' estate were unwilling to serve Xing Song. Not only was Xing Song a pervert, but he was also a rootless person. Would he have a future if he followed him? The most important thing was that this freak had no roots and no talent for cultivation. Following him was a dead end. It was Tang Huan who did it. Yi Shou couldn't help but laugh. Cousin's guess was right. After the two of them fell out, Bao Ling couldn't stand Tang Huan and kept finding trouble with him. Recently, she even spread the news about some of the things that Tang Huan did in Ping City. There were both real and fake things. In short, it wasn't a good thing, causing Tang Huan's reputation to plummet. The reason why Tang Huan was angered was because Bao Ling said to the noble ladies in the circle that Tang Huan was shameless. He didn't even have a marriage agreement with Little Seven, yet he moved to Little Seven's residence. The scolding was very unpleasant. I won't learn it in dirty cousin's ears. Tang Huan naturally wouldn't give up. He actually learned from cousin's method last time. However, he got someone to trick Bao Ling into going to a place where no one was around. He knocked her out and sent her to the second son's room. Peek. Chapter 198. Bao Linger is not concubine Lu. She has cultivation, so when she was drugged, she had no way to resist the humiliation of the second son of the House of Marquis. Once the effects of the medicine passed, she paralyzed the second son of the House of Marquis with a few swords and picked out the tendons of his hands and feet. The corner of Yi Shou's mouth raised into a very beautiful smile. At this moment, the red robe on his body made him even more outstanding. After that, she escaped while no one was paying attention. Perhaps she knew that if she returned to the Bao family would not protect her. Perhaps her cultivation would even be crippled, so she resented Tang Huan in her heart. The smart choice to escape was most likely to wait for the right time before coming back to take revenge on Tang Huan. As Yi Shou spoke, he saw Tang Guo's eyes flickering with a hidden luster. He moved closer to her ear. I asked someone to watch her whereabouts and erase the traces of her escape. I guarantee that the Bao family, the House of Marquis and Tang Huan won't be able to find her. What to do next, how to use her will depend on cousin. What do you want to do? Leave it to me. Let him be the one to do this kind of unscrupulous thing. It was his honor to help his cousin do bad things. Yi Shou's beautiful peach blossom eyes blinked, as if he wanted to make the more and more stunning woman in front of him faint. His expectant look made Tang Guo laugh, and her hands itched to touch his forehead. Cousin, do you also think that I'm good-looking? Knowing that he would say that since she was so good-looking, why not take her home and look at her whenever she wanted, Tang Guo gently pushed him away. It was impossible to get married. It was impossible to get married for the rest of her life. Cousin, give her a chance to grow. Tang Guo pursed her lips and said with a smile, let her grow faster, at least faster than Tang Huan, just a little taller than Tang Huan. They were all people who had harmed her, so there was no reason for Bao Linger to take revenge so easily. As for Tang Huan, whatever he would experience in the future, he would bear with it. What a good idea. Cousin and I thought of the same thing. Cousin, where are we going to train next? Tang Guo smiled but did not say anything. Naturally, she was going to find the opportunity that belonged to her original body. In this world, if she did not immediately choose to go to the next world, she would have to live for at least a few hundred years, which was the age that the original body should have lived. She didn't plan to go to the next world directly. Staying here was quite interesting. Other than the fact that the family Tang people were a little annoying, the world was pretty good. The system said faintly, "It's your cousin, right? Host, you're obviously greedy for your cousin's love." So what? The system was exasperated. When the host decided to be shameless, no one could compare to him. Who isn't greedy for a sincere heart? Tang Guo communicated with the system in a low voice. I've always been greedy for sincerity. Haven't you always known that? How many worlds have I drifted with you? I can't even remember. Sometimes, I wonder what the result will be if we continue on this path. Will there be a result? Suddenly sensing Tang Guo's confusion, the system couldn't bear it. It wanted to say something, but in the end, it didn't know what to say. He couldn't give an answer, and he didn't know why he had to go through all of this. Only by experiencing one or two true hearts from these tens of thousands of small worlds, I feel that it's necessary to live. Tang Guo's lips curled up into a gentle smile. Didn't you ask me why someone would fall in love with me if I wanted them to? Because it's a heart for a heart. Why do I have to go to Heavenly Spring to lie down for a few days every time? It's because I'm still a little tired from giving, and I need some time to forget. Chapter 199. You're asking me why I didn't agree to cousin's request directly. Because I hold grudges. System, you've accompanied me to so many worlds. Don't you know that I hold grudges? I've already inherited all the emotions of the original owner. I can't block out what he did. Moreover, I've given every person who made a mistake a chance to correct themselves. They were the ones who didn't want it. The system couldn't refute. It wanted to say that Tang Guo was a scoundrel, but what she said was the truth. If you can get what you want just because you regret what you did, apologize, and do everything you can to redeem yourself, would there still be so many regrets in this world? Tang Guo clutched her chest. The original owner chased after Yi Zhou for hundreds of years in a world. In the end, she died to save Yi Zhou. She didn't even get Yi Zhou's feelings. What a pity. Because of Tang Huan's rebirth in a world, her fate was even more frustrated. In the end, she wanted to see Yi Zhou but couldn't. In the end, she died with regret. I'm a little angry about her experience. I asked him from the start. He didn't choose to stop me from breaking off the engagement. So I'm very sorry. No matter how good I am to him, no matter how much he loves me, and no matter how much I like him, I won't marry him. Because of his sincerity, I will also give him my sincerity. The system felt pity for Yi Zhou. It couldn't help but scold the host for being a pervert. If cousin had chosen to stop you from the start and wanted to try with you, host, would you have been with him? Yes, I would have loved him for the rest of my life. The system fell silent. It suddenly understood Tang Guo's thoughts. However, it still felt that her thoughts were extreme and the way she did things was very perverted. How could there be such heart-wrenching? Cousin. Tang Guo came back to her senses and saw Yi Zhou's worried expression. What's wrong, cousin? What are you thinking about? Did you encounter something bad? Tang Guo laughed when she saw his cousin helping her solve it. She shook her head and said no. She met Yi Zhou's black and white eyes and suddenly asked, Cousin, if you can't achieve what you want in this lifetime, will you still choose to continue? Will you regret it? Yi Zhou didn't understand why Tang Guo asked that, but he still nodded firmly. I won't regret it. Even if I know the result, I will continue. Cousin, don't tell me that there's no result in this life. That's right, there won't be any results in this lifetime. Cousin, it's not too late for you to regret. Yi Shou hummed and asked again, then will cousin like someone else? No, I like my cousin the most. Woo woo. She was really happy and sad at the same time. What kind of complicated feeling was this? His cousin couldn't be anyone else's, but she just didn't want to be with him. She even said that she liked him. Then I'll accept it. Yi Shou was Yi Shou. Even if Tanguo made it clear that there would be no result in the end. He was only unhappy for a while. After that, he treated Tanguo as well as he should. Of course, Tanguo was also good to him. Yi Shou just didn't understand. Tanguo was clearly so good to him and liked him. Why wasn't she willing to be together with him? Could it be that his cousin really held a grudge to this extent? How could he know that there were all kinds of reasons from his previous life? In the following time, Tanguo went to the place where the original body should have obtained the opportunity according to the plot and took it away. Tanguo followed closely behind her. Seeing that the opportunity had already been taken away, his heart was extremely complicated. He was more and more afraid of Tanguo, but there was nothing he could do. Chapter 200. Why has Huan He been so depressed recently? Yi Yan didn't quite understand. Recently, Tang Huan's fortuitous encounters were not bad. She had obtained a lot of good things and her cultivation had also increased a lot. Are you still saying those things to the people outside? Tang Huan shook her head. No. Then why? Yi Yan asked with concern. Tang Huan looked at Yi Yan who kept asking her questions. She couldn't help but think of how Yi Shou was obedient in front of Tanguo. His status was clearly noble, second only to His Majesty the Night Emperor. In front of Tanguo, he was so submissive and did all kinds of pleasing actions to make Tanguo happy. He even threw good things to Tanguo as if they didn't cost money. He even blacklisted the family Tang, the House of Marquis and the Bo family for Tanguo. These three families couldn't enter the palace now. Whenever someone said that Tanguo wasn't tactful and wasn't worthy of the little prince, Yi Shou would rush up, roll up his sleeves and beat the person up without caring about his image. Although it was a little childish, no matter what he did, no matter which side he was, he never hid it. Instead, he showed it in front of Tanguo. She was really envious. She never knew that Yi Shou would be such a person when he was serious and moved. And Yi Yan. He liked her and always thought of her, but Yi Yan was only half sincere to her. As for the other half, it was Yi Yan's ambition. There were many things that Yi Yan would not tell her. He would even hide some of his feelings for her. From the beginning, he had some motives for her. Of course, it couldn't be compared to Yi Shou's pure feelings. She didn't want to think about these things, but when it came to Tanguo, she couldn't help but think about it. Why was she still inferior to Tanguo even though she had been reborn? And the fortuitous opportunities that belonged to Tanguo were all taken away by the other party in advance. Could it be that it was really a mistake that she didn't make a move that time, which led to Tanguo and Yi Shou being together? The more she thought about it, the more Tang Huan regretted it. She thought that there would be a very important opportunity soon, and that was the divine beast egg. She couldn't wait for the time to be up. She had to get it first. This was a divine beast egg. She would never let Tanguo take it again. Ah Yan, I suddenly have a feeling that it's coming from that direction, as if something is summoning me. Tang Huan pretended to be surprised and stood up. Ah Yan, let's go take a look immediately. Yi Yan did not doubt that Tang Huan would often feel this way. Almost every time he came out to train after knowing Tang Huan would have this kind of accurate intuition. But there had never been a time when Tang Huan was so pleasantly surprised. Yi Yan's eyes flashed. Perhaps this was really a very important opportunity. All right, we'll be right there. According to the discussions of those people in his previous life, in this life, Tang Huan had already explored the place where the divine beast egg had descended. This time, it was a walk in the park for Yi Yan. They arrived there in just one day. According to the records, there were still 10 days before the birth of the divine beast egg. 10 days in advance, she didn't believe that the divine beast egg would be taken away by Tanghua. However, when they passed through the forest and prepared to enter the abandoned cave, they vaguely smelled a fragrance coming from the cave. Tang Huan subconsciously had a bad premonition, and his face became gloomy. She didn't want to believe that someone would come at this time. It definitely wasn't Tanghua. It definitely wasn't. Chapter 201. Yo, big sister, what a coincidence. You found this place too. Tanghua raised her eyes and smiled. She didn't have the slightest intention to get up. She sat on the cushion, hugged her knees, and looked at the egg that was being roasted. Oh, the egg was being roasted by Yi Zhou. According to Yi Zhou's words, how could he let his cousin do such rough work? His cousin only needed to wait and eat. Big sister, you came at the right time. Cousin and I were traveling around when we accidentally found this place. We actually found an egg that looked very delicious, so I asked cousin to help roast it. It's been roasting for a long time. I wonder what kind of demonic beast's egg it is. Tanghua muttered to herself, then said to Yi Zhou, cousin, it's almost cooked, right? Soon, cousin, are you hungry? I'll get you some fruits to eat. Yi Zhou really flipped the egg while taking out 2 plates of fruits for Tanghua. In the end, he said to Yi Yan, I won't prepare any for Xiaoqi and the rest. Xiaoqi should bring these things with her when she goes out. Yi Yan did not speak. In front of Yi Zhou, he did not have the qualifications to refute. If Yi Fan was an existence that he could only look up to, then Yi Zhou was an existence that he could not surpass. In the past 2 years, he had worked so hard to cultivate, and Tang Huan had fed him spirit pills from time to time. Even now, he was still unable to see through Yi Zhou's realm. He had even secretly sent people to probe, but none of the people he sent out returned. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. At this point, he no longer dared to test Yi Zhou. He was even a little afraid that Yi Zhou already knew that he was the one who sent those people. Meeting Yi Zhou's smile that was not a smile, he had the urge to immediately escape from this place. Second sister, what are you doing? Tang Huan regained his senses and stared at the egg that was about to be cooked. He simply could not believe that the other party had roasted the divine beast egg. That was a divine beast egg. How could she roast the mythical beast's egg so easily without investigating it thoroughly? Tang Huan pursed her lips. If she did not try her best to control herself, she would have blurted out that it was a divine beast egg. How could you roast it and eat it? Cousin, it's cooked, thoroughly cooked. I'll break it open right away and cut some for you on a plate. You can try it first. This egg has a lot of spiritual energy. Eating it will be very beneficial to cousin's cultivation. Tang Huan's eyes were red and her body was trembling. Yi Yan, who was closest to her, noticed it. He vaguely felt that the egg was not simple. Could it be the opportunity that Huan had mentioned earlier? But now that the egg was cooked and was about to be eaten, he couldn't ask any more questions. Tanghua clenched her fists tightly. There was something that made people feel despair and sadness, and that was the divine beast egg in front of her that she had always wanted, but in the end, it was roasted by Tanghua and Yi Zhou. It was such an important thing to her, but the two of them didn't care and roasted it. That's right, the two of them didn't even know that this was a divine beast egg. Tang Huan regained her senses and exhaled heavily. Seeing Tangua pick up a piece of snow-white egg and send it to her mouth, she finally said, "Second sister, do you know what kind of egg this is?" Seeing that Tangua was only stunned for a moment, she still put the egg into her mouth. She narrowed her eyes and chewed twice before swallowing it. Tang Huan's heart was bleeding. "What egg? But it's quite delicious." "Big sister, do you want 2 pieces?" "Tang Huan, how could she eat it?" "Second sister, this is a divine beast egg, you actually roasted it." Tang Huan could no longer care about anything else and directly told her the truth. Chapter 202. She didn't believe that Tang Guo would still be so calm after knowing that she had eaten the divine beast egg. Sure enough, when she finished speaking, the cave became incomparably quiet. Yi Yan was shocked. He stared at the cooked egg with a complicated expression on his face. Divine beast egg. That was a divine beast egg. It was actually roasted and eaten. Tang Huan originally thought that Tang Huan would reveal an extremely regretful expression, but Tang Guo only stayed for a moment before returning to normal and even ate 2 more pieces. This time, he ate a little slower and looked very satisfied. "I was wondering why the taste was so good. So it's a divine beast egg." Tang Guo immediately gave an empty plate to Yi Zhou. "Cousin, it's been hard on you, you should eat some too. Divine beast eggs are rare, maybe this is the only time in your life." "Big sister, since this is a divine beast egg, I won't share it with you. Actually, I didn't really treat you to food." Tang Huan was so angry that he was about to die. He stared straight at Tang Guo, all of his expressions unconcealed. At this moment, she truly hated Tang Guo to the core. Why? She had clearly restarted her life, but why was she still unable to compare to Tang Guo? Everything was suppressed by the other party. She had obtained her father's favor, allowed her concubine mother to survive, and finally obtained her father's favor. In the family, Tang Guo was clearly an invisible person. Clearly, all of her father's resources were biased towards her. Clearly, she was the first to obtain Tang Guo's most important alchemy space. Why? Why was it that after she had done so much, Tang Guo was still so outstanding? Although the other party's reputation was not good, when Tang Guo's talent was mentioned before, everyone said that it was not bad. The Tang clan had also allocated Tang Guo's resources. Yes, it was the Tang clan. If it wasn't for the Tang clan's meddling in other people's business, wouldn't Tang Guo not have so many cultivation resources, and wouldn't be able to reach where she is today? Tang Huan hated the Tang clan. If she had tried to rope in the Tang clan from the start instead of staying away from them, wouldn't Tang Guo be just an ordinary person now? Yi Zhou looked at Tang Huan's ferocious eyes with some displeasure. "Little 7, family's eldest miss doesn't like to stay here. Hurry up and take her away." Yi Yan also noticed that something was wrong with Tang Huan. She seemed to have gone mad as she stared at Tang Guo. That kind of undisguised hatred made him feel very apprehensive. According to his investigation, Tang Guo should not have secretly dealt with Tang Huan. Tang Guo's actions were all open and above board. Whether it was in the past or before, she did not hide it at all. She was full of the arrogance of a young lady of an aristocratic family. It was also because of this that he looked down on Tang Guo. He did not like her arrogant look. "Huan, let's go." Yi Yan put his arm around Tang Huan's shoulder as if he wanted to take her away. Tang Huan stared at Tang Guo without moving. Her eyes became crazier and crazier, as if she wanted to skin Tang Guo alive. Why is it like this? Tang Guo, why are you better than before? If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have gotten what you wanted. It's all because of me. You can get all of this because of me, do you know? If it weren't for me. Tang Huan seemed to have gone crazy. She looked at Yi Zhou, do you know? If it weren't for me, the man beside you would never look at you in the eye for the rest of his life. He wouldn't, and you would only chase after him forever. You would never be able to get him, never be able to get him. Tang Huan's voice was more like a curse, completely angering Yi Zhou. Just as he was about to make a move, Yi Yan knocked Tang Huan unconscious. Imperial uncle, I'm sorry, we'll be leaving first. Peek. Chapter 203. The cave fell into a short silence. Yi Zhou was a little angry. If cousin isn't satisfied, I'll go kill her. He wasn't joking. When he said this, it was full of killing intent. Just based on Tang Huan's words of never being able to obtain it, it made him furious. Although he was talking about Tang Guo, when he thought about his current situation, wasn't he only able to look at his cousin and never get her? If he didn't recognize his own feelings, and if his cousin didn't insist on breaking off the engagement with him, would she be like what Tang Huan said, chasing after him for 10 years? And if he ran too fast, he would never be able to see her behind him. Instead, he would think that she was trouble, and he would never be able to see her good side. Thinking of this situation, Yi Zhou felt a wave of fear in his heart. If that was really the case, wouldn't his cousin be deeply hurt by him? Thinking of the past 10 years, wasn't he like this as well? No wonder, no matter how much his cousin liked him, she was unwilling to marry him. She had already chased after him for more than 10 years. It was tiring enough. He suddenly understood what she meant when she said that she was tired. She was really tired. He had only chased after his cousin for a few months. His cousin was the one who could see his good side, remember his good side, and even treat him well. Other than not agreeing to marry him, his cousin had always been very good to him. He felt the pain of not being able to get what he wanted and was in a kind of sweet pain. As for his cousin, she didn't get any response at all. She chased after him wholeheartedly, and he couldn't see her. She had never stopped to seriously confirm their relationship. He regretted it. His heart ached for his cousin's persistence in the past. He hated himself for being so decisive. He deserved it. He deserved to be punished like this by his cousin. What's wrong? Tang Guo was a little strange. Why did this person's eyes turn red all of a sudden? Others wouldn't believe it if she said that the dignified little prince of immortal Ping country was a strong person. He was also a man who would cry at the slightest provocation. It really made people's worldview change. Cousin. Yi Zhou made a sound and couldn't help but come over to hug her. I just want to hug you for a while to comfort you. I don't mean anything else. Tang Guo didn't struggle. All right. Homesick. Yi Zhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry. His cousin had changed. Ever since she broke off the engagement, she was no longer the little girl who chased after him. He regretted it so much. He regretted that he had woken up so late. He had missed her feelings and let her down. Cousin, I won't force you to marry me in the future. From now on, I'll stay by your side. I don't ask for anything. I just want to watch over you, take care of you, and protect you. Okay. Yi Zhou looked at Tang Guo pitifully. He hugged her arm and refused to let go. I really won't force you. I don't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve to have a young lady who used to chase after him so passionately. He owed her more than 10 years of affection, and nothing could make up for it. To think that he thought that treating his cousin well for a few months would make her marry him willingly. What was he thinking? Who did he think he was? He had already broken her cousin's heart, yet he still wanted her to marry him. His cousin probably didn't trust feelings anymore, so she didn't want to marry him. He didn't ask for this anymore. He just wanted to accompany her. From now on, wherever his cousin was, he would be there. As long as she didn't chase him away, he would stay by her side. If she chased him away, he would secretly stay by her side. Peak. Chapter 204. Ever since that day, Yizhou's attitude toward Tanggua had changed again. Sure enough, he no longer mentioned marriage. He only silently accompanied her by her side and accompanied her to obtain all the opportunities of the original body. One day, Tanggua took out the mythological beast egg. Yes, it's the mythological beast egg. How could she really eat the divine beast egg? This was the opportunity of the original body. In the original body's memories, this was her companion. How could she eat the original body's companion? The egg that she had eaten was just the egg of a kind of edible demon beast that had been collected in the system space of a certain world. Cousin, you can form a contract with this divine beast egg. She was not prepared to contract it. Even if she could break through the void, she could not stay in this world forever. In this world, Yizhou had already accompanied her for 10 years. During these 10 years, she had basically found all the opportunities of the original body, and her strength had also reached the Yuan monarch realm. In 10 years, she had cultivated from a Yuan general to a Yuan monarch. Other than Yizhou, no one else had this kind of talent. She had asked Yizhou about his cultivation level. When he had known her, he had been at the perfected Yuan monarch realm. Now, he was at the mid-stage Yuan monarch realm. He was already considered the strongest powerhouse in this world. Yizhou was only in his 30s, but he had already reached a realm that many people could not reach in a few hundred years. The divine beast egg needed to be contracted before it could awaken life force. She had only thought of it recently and taken it out. She did not feel at ease giving it to anyone, so it was best to give it to Yizhou. Anyway, she only wanted to leave the good things to him. In this world, Yizhou had taken care of her meticulously. She was a little greedy for this feeling and naturally wanted to repay him with the best. Cousin, I don't need it. Yizhou thought that this was his cousin's opportunity. What was the point of him taking it? All the good things in the world should belong to his cousin. I want you to contract it. Cousin, are you willing or not? Faced with Tanggua's request, Yizhou could not refuse and unwillingly contracted the divine beast egg. Sure enough, right after the contract was made, the divine beast egg had life force. After being contracted by Yizhou, it was naturally very close to Yizhou. However, it seemed to have some doubts and even circled around Tanggua. Yizhou was amused. See, cousin. It's confused too. It thinks you're its master. Follow me well. I'll treat you well. The mythological beast egg returned to Yizhou's side. Yizhou put away the egg. Since he had already contracted it, he would definitely treat it well. Cousin, let's make a trip back to Pingqing. I've been out for 10 years. I want to go back and take a look. I'm sure I won't have the chance to go back in the future. Yizhou agreed. He had been away for a long time, and he missed his big brother in the palace. Although they often communicated with each other, it couldn't be compared to meeting each other. The two of them were now the most powerful people in the mainland. Very soon, they returned to Ping City quietly. After returning to Ping City, the two of them parted ways. Yizhou went to the palace while Tanggua returned to the family Tang. She had several purposes for returning to the family Tang. She wanted to see how the current family Tang was doing. She was referring to Tang Haohui, Tang Huan, and the rest. She also wanted to see the Tang clan. She had a good impression of the clan. She went to look for the Tang clan leader directly. The clan leader knew that she was back and hurried to welcome her excitedly. The moment he saw Tanghua, he was shocked. He could not see through Tanghua even though he was a perfected immortal realm cultivator. Elder Tang. The clan leader quickly reacted and cupped his hands. He smiled. Congratulations, Elder Tang. Peaked that you're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.